that are a little, what we call sexy. You can see from the title, it's more of a love album.
Yep.
Yay.
Everybody on a wonderful week. So far we're here. Oh, damn. Hold on. 1 second, people. All right. So we're back. Another great week. We had a phenomenal week last week. We're damn sure going to give you another great week this week. We've been giving you great weeks so far on here. We've been getting the feedbacks on how great everything is, and we appreciate that because we understand how, being devoted to a platform, especially if it's giving you great information, feedback, and just helping you out in everyday life with the gems that are being provided here on this platform. So we definitely appreciate everybody for giving us the great feedback and enjoying the content that we have here. We know that there's a lot of content creators out there that really aren't basing their content of um, getting the success rate. They're more on you know, just doing anything to trigger you or getting a response from you just to get viewership or getting followers for all the wrong reasons. And that's not what we do here. We don't sensationalize anything just to get followers and views. We give you everything that is stuff that a lot of people are afraid to say. You'll find it here. We're very honest and we hold accountability on both parts, men and women. We don't be biased about it. So I think that's what makes us and separates us from the rest of them. And we get that from your guys' feedback and we appreciate it. Thank you. Because one thing about when you're doing good work out here, it's always great to get feedback of being honored for the work that you do because we don't want it to go undone and feel like you guys aren't receiving it and it'd be pointless if that was the case. So with that being said, we definitely have a great show for you guys tonight. As you guys already know, that there is a flyer that has been circulating for tonight called Submission versus Compromise. And the reason why I chose to do that this week is because I felt like a lot of times we're seeing the repetitive and redundant dialogues on social media. You know, social media is a place where you find a lot of things that people beat to the ground. They will beat the hell out this horse till it's in a pulp. And it's like the reason we keep beating it is because nobody wants to get a clear understanding. And it's more tribal where you have all the men gathering against all the women and all the women gathering against all the men instead of everybody coming to a median and understanding both sides of it and saying, okay, I understand this side of it, and then we understand that side of it. So once we get to the correct dialogue, we now create a medium. We now get clarity on what the subject is, and we understand it from both perspectives. And then that way, when you understand from both perspectives, now you can move forward in a more successful manner, a more healthy manner, and both parties understand each other and on the same page. So a lot of times when I'm watching a lot of the dialogue, I hear a lot about submission and being submissive. And one of the things about that is that there is two components to it. And we're so focused on the one side of it that we ignore the other side of it. And a lot of times men aren't having the correct dialogue because a lot of men are using the standpoint of submissiveness and not identifying the key component to other parts of it, the balanced part of it, which is compromise. So the submissive part, men don't submit to women. That's not what they do. If you're talking about a masculine or what you call an alpha male, if that's what you subscribe to, then an alpha male or a masculine man does not submit to his wife. What he does do is in the relationship, he compromises. So the compromising now gives his wife the added voice that is needed in the relationship, and it separates the relationship from being one-sided or feel like a dictatorship and more of a union-based relationship or unity. And I think a lot of times we don't talk about that aspect of it. So tonight we definitely wanted to get into that aspect of it. So before I get into that, I want to shout out to my brothers, you know, Drake and Major. Y'all boys all right? Y'all doing good? What's good with y'all?
Everything cracking over here, man. What's going on?
Chilling, chilling. Just wanted to get
Fantastic.
Everything is everything.
y'all boys sized up and, you know, ready to get into this and dial down into it. I
Yes,
know
sir.
Major is the only one on here that's married, so we'll be getting a lot of his standpoints from it because I think a lot of this is geared more towards him, but it doesn't eliminate everybody else because if you are on here tonight, your end goal is to be married. So if your end goal is to be married, then you want to take these pointers that will help you lead you in that direction. And also when you get on that plateau, you also will remain there in a healthy form with these great gems that we're about to break down to you tonight.
For
So
sure.
before we get off into anything, we just want to make sure that we give you guys the correct definition of what we're talking about tonight. So we
Real
want to
quick,
break
Ant,
down. Yeah,
do
go
you
ahead.
hear a background noise?
Yes, who is that?
I hear one. I don't think it's me.
Hold on, hold on. Go ahead, talk.
Check, check, mic check, 1, 2.
So that's Drake.
Uh
That's you, Drake.
What I
Where
got
is
going
that
on?
coming from?
What's it sound like?
sounds like
Um,
it's hard to describe. Sounds like some people talking in the distance.
what you got? TV on or something?
Maybe my next door neighbors.
Oh, that's your next door neighbors.
Man. I'll just
Oh,
stay
okay,
muted unless I see them saying.
okay.
Okay, brother.
All right, that's cool. So yes, we want to get down with the definition for tonight. And all right, so first definition we have is compromise. Compromise is an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. An ability to listen to two sides in a dispute or devise a compromise acceptable to both. Settle a dispute by mutual concession. Accept standards that are lower than is desirable, right? So that's the definition of compromise. And the definition of submissive is a
Okay.
person who takes a submissive role in a BDSM sexual activities, but more so what we're talking about tonight is ready to conform, ready to conform to authority or will of others. You know, a submissive, also sheep-like people.
Yeah.
So basically, it's you know, you're following the lead of somebody. That's basically what the submissiveness is.
Mm.
It could be like gave you two definition of in the household and also in the bedroom.
Mm.
So with that being said, uh, we're definitely going to break down the compromise and the submissive part of it. And I know that Major, I know you had a list that we will get into shortly. But before
Mm.
we get into that list, I know what is your take on, because you are married, what is your take on it? Because, you know, we're from the outside looking in, you're from the inside looking out. So
Yeah.
is compromising and submissiveness, do you feel like that is a big factor that needs to be worked hand in hand through the marriage, or how do you view it?
Absolutely, brother. Good evening. Good evening to everybody.
Good evening, good evening.
I, yes, I think you hit it out the park with the initial introduction. You know what I mean? Um, a old school brother told me this a long time ago when he started talking to me about how to deal with women. And, you know, this was during my younger 20s, right? I was kind of figuring it out, putting it all together. You know, in the new age, things are a lot different from how they used to be, or so they seem. And Cat broke it down real smooth for me. You know, he was like, you know, I was telling him about a young lady I was having problems with, and you know, she was just kind of going all over the place, and she just kept challenging me, and I didn't want to just take her head off because I get like that. You know what I'm saying? But I was trying to, you know, just find a smooth way because I liked her. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
And he gave me some of the coldest game I ever got. He like, man, let me tell you something about relationships and how they're supposed to go. You need to know where you're going. So you got to look at it in terms of you have a destination that you're trying to arrive to, and y'all in the car together.
Hmm.
How many steering wheels does a car have?
One.
All right, then.
One.
You know what I'm saying? And he like, listen, if she's giving you any kind of problems in regards to this, that's not the woman that you need to be dealing with. Real women, and moreover, the type of women that you want to involve yourself with, young blood, those women understand that they are to follow your lead. Now, you need to be in a position where you can properly lead and properly guide them. You need to be able to have a destination. You need to have a plan, so forth and so on. But, you don't tolerate going into a situation with, a woman trying to dictate to you what direction you're going in. By the same token, the same way you broke it down real smooth with the term compromise, yeah, you can't act like a dictator, or you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, whereas it is incumbent upon you to lead, it is also incumbent upon you to make sure that everybody's happy and everybody works well together and that you have synergy. And, that dude, he really taught me a lot, in those few paragraphs. That's really how it's supposed to be. That's the breakdown. And it was imperative. I've never had these power struggles that a lot of brothers describe with my wife from when I first met her. You know what I mean? She really, really is an extraordinary woman, and she's very feminine. And, with me, that's kind of the only way it's going to work. You know what I mean? I'm a very masculine dude. So, it makes sense. This is how it's supposed to be. I know, the white supremacist media and other people will tell you otherwise. They'll tell you, that, you can be a man and feel comfortable putting on a dress, and you can be a man and, you can have all type of feminine attributes, or whatever the case may be. That doesn't affect your manhood, is what they'll tell you when they're talking to us. When they're talking to us specifically, that's what they'll tell you. But it absolutely does affect your manhood. And, you shouldn't be out here like that. You should be out here leading and in an alpha male role. And, the women should respond, in a normal fashion. And, things should gel. Things should be cohesive. And, being the person who comes in the spirit of compromise and being with the person who comes in the spirit of submission, I think is paramount. Yeah, I think it's extraordinarily important. Is the simple answer, because that's one of the hugest problems that we have today in dating and relationships. Nobody knows what they're supposed to do, what their role is, how they are going to impact the relationship, and in what manner. And just not having a clear understanding of your roles. Imagine you're in a play and you don't have a clear understanding of your role. How is that going to work out? You feel me? That's where we are. So yeah, this is a very important show, and I hope a lot of people receive the message as we're giving it. It's all about balance at the end of the day. For the man, you need to understand, your role, and the woman, she needs to understand as well. And you guys need to complement each other in the capacity that you're going to deal as a unit. You need to complement each other. That's what it's all about, from what I've experienced thus far.
Dope. And that means a lot coming from somebody that's married. So we're getting from the inside going out. Bobby, from somebody like us from the outside looking in, how does submissive and co-parent, does that co-mingle together, or do you find it needs to just be submissive and that's it?
No, I definitely believe that there's a blending of the two, but not enough to where it's a semantics issue. Both call for their own different things. Like you said before, I believe it was, I think it was a Major that said it. But for the most part, if you're the person in headship, if you're the person that's leader, then you're more on the compromise side of the game as opposed to the submission side of the game.
Mm,
However, we have to be mindful that um, I don't believe that we have to really tiptoe around the issue because it's at this point it's not even a secret. It's a very poorly kept one if it is one.
mm,
The word submissive is very it's a hot button word. It's very triggering for a lot of people. It's a lot of red flags and you know warning lights that go off when they hear the word. But we have to understand that that is not a healthy response to the term. That is largely a trauma response. And in some cases, it's not even a direct trauma response. It's a second hand or a third hand response that people have where hearing other people's horror stories that may or may not be um, 100% accurate or might not fully encompass the whole story. Other people are getting shook off of what they're hearing other people going through, and they're adopting those fears and those hangups as their own. So they've never even had a relationship or a situation where they were submissive, or they've never seen a relationship where submission was actually playing out. But yet here they are paranoid because they hear the word submission, all because of what they've heard someone else talking about. So we have a lot of that going on,
Good
and so
point.
that has to be kept in mind. But the truth is, like anything else, submission is a concept that can be executed well, it can be executed poorly.
mm,
You also have jobs that have horror stories as well. Some careers and professions have a lot of highlights of a lot of people that are very big on the profession. You have some where people have all kinds of horror stories. I don't see people saying I'm not going to get a job because I hear a whole bunch of people unhappy at work. I never hear that. So we are very selective in the things we want to go ahead and shoot our shot with, and the things we want to sit on the sidelines for.
mm,
Agreed.
But as far as compromise goes, absolutely, I believe that uh, being a person who's in headship, being a person who is the leader and who has their mate submissive to them, it doesn't mean that you're some tyrant or some dictator where you rule with an iron fist and there's all kinds of suffering and torment and weeping and gnashing of teeth going on. It just simply means that you're the president of the United States of your household. You make the laws, you make the governments, you execute, and you also take into account your constituents. You take heed to what your wife's concerns are, what her wants and desires are. You take heed to what your children's wants and desires are, and you govern accordingly. You do your best to meet the needs of everybody, and you plug the wants in when you can, where you can, how you can. And that's simply called structure and order. A
mm,
lot of us today, unfortunately, are not used to having order and structure in our households. We're not used to it. Many times our households are in disarray. We have all sorts of wonky leadership. We don't have true adults in the home where there's any need for there being any compromise. A lot of people prefer to be single or don't put any big emphasis on having a mate, in large part because they don't want to have to compromise with somebody else. They want to just make all the decisions themselves. They don't want to have to defer
Mm,
to anybody. They don't want to have to take anyone else's perspectives into account, which
mm,
is funny because those people tend to not want to take on someone who has those characteristics.
mm,
So you don't want a tyrant, but you want a situation that's set up where you have the ability to be a tyrant if you so choose. Um,
mm,
one of the great parts of life. But the submission, if you want to refer to it, is that on the man side of the game comes in if he is the protector, the provider of the household. If he's the job, if he's the provider, I'm not going to necessarily say if he's the sole provider, but I would give some leeway and say if he's at least doing the majority, so from 51% on up, if he is responsible for the lion's share of the provision and he's responsible for the protection of the household, that makes him submissive because he is doing this for others. He's doing this for those who are not him. He's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for his wife. He's doing it for his children. And so, in that way, he is submitting his finances to his family. He is submitting his protection to his family. If there's a situation that calls for him risking his life, he will be the first person to catch those rounds to put himself in the way of harm and violence and destruction and damage. So he is submitting himself. He is putting himself secondary for that purpose. It's different from the way his woman would submit herself, but it is still part of submitting to the relationship and playing their part and playing their role. When we understand this and we embrace this, and most importantly, when we refine our own ability to vet and determine and to suss out who it is that we're dealing with, a lot of these fears and paranoias go away. The problem is we don't do a very good job of vetting and choosing and selecting the people that we engage in. Many of us understand this, at least subconsciously, even if we don't do it consciously. And as a result, we say, well, I don't want to submit. And the truth is, it's because they understand they don't really have what it takes to choose a mate specifically. One of the things I've put out there in conversations when this is brought up, where you have women talking about, oh, I don't submit, I don't need to submit, this, that, and the third, men who do this and third. One of the things I do is I ask them, well, a man who's worthy of submission, what would he have to do or be to look, basically, what would the qualifications be for a man to deserve submission? And they may give me some, or if they don't give any, I'll offer some that I think are fitting. And I'll say, do you agree that these are qualities of a man is worth submitting to? And in most cases, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, that sounds like a man who's worth submitting to. The follow up question I have is what usually ends the show early. I'll ask him, well, if we can agree that this is the kind of man who's worth submitting to, then whether you subscribe to submission or not, whether that's your thing, whether you're looking for a man to do this with or you're not, you refuse to be submissive, period. Why is it that you are not looking for men, or why is it that you're not only dealing with men for relationships who are worthy of submission? Because even if you're not going to submit, this sounds like a man who is a great man to be with. This sounds like the kind of man who is going to improve your life, is going to improve the quality of life, is going to be an excellent father to your children, an excellent role model for your sons, an excellent example of what man to look for your daughter. Why would you settle? Why would you not want to be with a man like this? Or why are you dealing with men who don't fit this description? At that point, you get crickets usually. So
That makes sense though.
at that point, you say that this is a top quality man, and yet when you say, okay, well, does this man fit the bill of the dudes you've been with in the past? Is this the dude that you're looking for now? Are you entertaining men who are like this? Let's see what happened with. Oh, oh, oh! I got a phone call. I'll be right back. I'll never get back. So those are the differences that I've seen between submission and compromise. And I believe, because like you said, and this has been a conversation that's been worn threadbare. The horse has been beaten dead, brought back to life. It's got all kinds of prosthetic limbs and stuff now. It's got an AI voice and brain, and they're still beating the damn thing to death again. And this keeps happening because people don't want to accept the answers that they're being given. I had this conversation earlier about something else similar to this conversation. And I said, if the question has been asked 99 times, the same answer has been given 99 times, at what point do we acknowledge that it is something wrong with the people asking the question when it's asked for time 100 and they're just hoping and expecting that this is going to be the time when everything changes?
Nice.
When you don't want to do the right thing, you're going to find any and every reason to not do it, and eventually get to the point where you just flat out don't even need a reason. So we have to be honest about what we want and what we don't want, and then we can actually make progress, regardless of what side is on. But so long as we're pretending that, oh, it's different than what it really is, how can we get anywhere? How can we get off the conversation subject? We're stuck in the mud. Uh, be honest. Be honest. Whether it's good or bad, that's fine. But pick a side so that way we can figure out the work to do, because you can't get any work done when someone's playing the fence and they're wishy-washy. You either here or not here, and depending on where you are, we can work with that and move forward accordingly. But the whole stuck in the yellow light, you hold up the show.
Well said.
Yeah, that's
Well said.
yeah. You said a lot. You said a really good amount of great stuff there. Well, you wanted to follow that up, Major?
Now, I just want to say, I mean, Bob is spot on. I wanted to touch on something that you guys said earlier too, because a lot of times I hear this idiot point being made, and I want to make sure that I confront it. Um, you said it in good faith, but people say this type of stupid shit a lot. If you're not married, then you can't speak on issues that married people go through.
Mm,
That's horseshit. Real talk. Let me tell you something. I, for the majority of the time that I was single, I had my married friends asking me for advice. Now, everybody that's single isn't necessarily equipped to give this type of advice, right?
mm,
But if you have a lot of sense, you know what I'm saying? And you're outside the box and you're able to understand the layers and translate, certain things at a high level, you can still have a valid input in, certain situations regarding marriage. I want you guys to know straight up, you know what I mean? You guys may not be married, but it does not mean in any capacity that you can't speak on married people's issues or that your insight and the foresight that you have is not valid, to necessarily speak on issues that married people are going through. Because at the
Proven
end of the day,
facts.
it's really all about common sense and logic. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? You may not be there yet, but I can tell you, I've had situations where, like I said, my married friends have always asked me for advice before I was even married. And now that I'm married, it just kind of solidifies, what they already thought. But, a young lady I remember a few years back, she hit me up on my inbox. She didn't even know me. She's just like, I can tell from, the type of stuff that you post and the way that you speak that you got a lot of sense. I'm going through something. Can you listen to this for me and tell me? She was married. Can you listen to this for me and tell me, or whatever the case may be? And I gave her some advice, and she said that it was actually very helpful. So I
mm,
want you brothers to understand, you have a very valid say, even though you're not married. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? And I'm sure that both of you are going to get there. You know what I'm saying? But that's a common misconception that we have in our community, that people who aren't, not just with marriage, but people who aren't in a certain situation can't speak on a certain situation.
mm.
It's just not true. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? I just wanted to really, really put that out there.
yeah.
Hmm.
That makes
So,
it. That's a great point that you make because I get dinged a lot because I didn't have children when I was
uh,
faced in the dating pool, and a lot of women didn't look my way because I didn't have children. And the first ignorant thought they said was, "Well, I want to date somebody with a child because I know how they are with children."
uh,
And I laugh at that because everybody has their preference. And I'm not laughing at her preference, but I'm laughing
right.
at the base ignorance of it because you have a lot of people that's out here with children that are sperm donors, not
Yeah.
fathers,
Real
you
talk.
know. So you have women out here who are having relationship with sperm donors, empty souls, empty vessels, and then get stuck in a position and is now either going to have a negative stigma for a long time against men and have a blanket statement, a negative blanket statement on men, and then uh, never realize that somebody like me, who, if you would have engaged with me and been in a relationship with me and probably possibly get a child, we create a child together, you would have had a wonderful father. But you didn't see that because all you were based on in the tunnel vision was somebody that had children versus somebody that didn't.
Right.
Um, when my I was with my ex for a minute and she had children. And even all my exes, I could just say all my exes had children, right? Majority of them had children because I deal with older women. And with my one ex, I had the children not only reading the grade level up, but also um, got them into taking taking high school credits in middle school and taking college credits in high school. That's not from a guy. That information is not coming from a guy who has multiple children. That information is coming from a guy who has no children, but he has multiple experiences around people that have children, or reads a lot of information from articles that talk about it from people who have children that excelled in that direction. So I am walking around with knowledge versus somebody who has a physical child. So I'm filled with knowledge but don't have children, and then somebody could be filling up all type of women with children and don't have a lick of knowledge and don't want to even be a child, be in that child's life. Like last time when we had a couple episodes back where we had the guy who talked about impregnating these women, and he was like, "Don't put the blame on me. I didn't want these children. They didn't want to get the abortion, so I'm not forced to be in their lives. Don't force me to be in their lives. They should have been responsible." You know what I'm saying? So you end up being statistic because you thought that because he had children, now you just added on to the six baby mama who now is struggling to get this man to participate in that child's life or be a part of that child and even give valuable information off to that child. And, like I say, when we walk in ignorance, it goes back to the Bible. The Bible speaks about ignorance, my people's perish for the lack of knowledge. The ignorance will kill you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people run around here with a lot of ignorance and then end up on the low spectrum of the totem pole about it. So when I look at the marriage, and I tell people, and it was so crazy because I was talking about this and I brought up this point, right? And somebody was like, "Yo, that's a dope comparison of how I feel like relationships are from what I view," right?
Yeah.
And one of them is this, right? So
Okay.
I put a relationship, I put the marriage in a focal point of an aircraft. Everybody, for the most part, has traveled. Everybody, for the most part, has jumped on an airline or seen an airplane. And the functionality of the airplane is you have a pilot and a co-pilot. Now, when you talk about if anything goes wrong in the plane, if a pilot is struggling in the air and has complications, it falls on the pilot. He's highlighted. They don't never talk about the co-pilot, but the co-pilot is an intricate part of the travel in aviation.
Agreed.
And the co-pilot also has an important role as well. But the whole guidance, the time from takeoff to the time you land, that is your destination. That is the pilot being the one that's the leader. He's the one that says, "Hey, I'm taking you guys here. Follow my lead under my protection," because guess what? Everybody inside that entire plane is relying on the pilot. They're relying on the leader. Their protection and their survival and well-being is all on the pilot. If the pilot has complications and ends up crashing the plane, everybody in that whole airplane dies. They perish, right? So a lot of people don't understand the roles that the co-pilot and pilot has. But if you visualize this, you'll understand that this is a key element when you think about it in your life of being with your mate. So the pilot is the husband and the co-pilot is the wife, right? So
Yes.
your pilot is your captain, right? So a captain is the highest ranking officer on an aircraft who operates the airplane and monitors the safety of everyone on board. Captains can perform all the same job duties as a co-pilot, but they also maintain additional responsibilities as the first in command of each flight. Many of these duties focus on the safety and assuring the conditions around the flights before takeoff and landings. Here are some of the high-level job duties of a captain can have. Developing flight plans for each flight to ensure the plane has adequate fuel and is an appropriate weight, considering cargo and passengers. So as a leader, that's like saying, hey, I got to make sure that everybody's equipped, everything on this vehicle that I'm carrying you guys on this journey of life, everything looks good. Because if anything is faulty while I'm taking you on this journey, then it's not going to be a successful journey. So it's my job to make sure that you're protected in all areas and that you're safe along this ride that I'm taking you guys on. Collaborating with the meteorologists to evaluate the weather before the flight and adjust the flight plans if necessary. Now, when you look at that from that standpoint, as a man of the household, especially a Black man, I have to assess the field, the chessboard, life. So by assessing it, I have to make sure that I protect you from racists, I protect you from the threats outside, wildebeest, animals, people that are out here to harm you. I have to assess that. I know systematical racism doesn't work in our favor. As my wife, as my child, I have to protect you from that. I have to protect you from the agendas. And in doing so, I have to map out and say to myself, which way do I travel with my family? I have to avoid the white supremacy traps out there, which is the same and equivalent to a meteorologist, right? You're trying to figure out if you have thunderstorms in this area, I might have to sit us here for a while till that clears up. Or I can find a different flight pattern to get us to our area. It's no different. If I see that white supremacy wants me to go this way, I tell myself and my family members, look, this is the route we're going to go because I see this going on up here, and I'm not going to take you that way to basically run us in the path of danger. We're going to do this way. Anybody says anything with us, we got this and this and this, and this is our execution, this is our plan, and we wiggle our way out of there and get to the land of safety of what we need, bypassing all the white supremacy traps and getting to safety and a safe place for you. That's the part of a man. That's the leadership part of a man. Inspecting the different areas of an aircraft to ensure everything functions properly before boarding passengers. Now, before we go on this journey, I got to make sure you have enough to eat. I got to make sure that there's enough weapons on here, just what we encounter. I got to make sure there's enough fuel. I have to make sure that everything on this journey that I'm taking you on, I am equipped to protect you, my family. If I don't see something that is right, I need to add it into our journey so that way I'm adequate enough to protect you in all forms, in all areas. And that is the same thing as leadership. So communicating with the traffic control to confirm takeoff and landings. This is why it is important for Black people and to have unity. So that way, when I'm going to a different territory and a different area with my family, I have people that's over there that could tell me what areas not to go in and what areas to go in. If I'm traveling from Florida to Georgia, it is good for me while I get to Georgia to meet with people, or before I get there, I can have communications with people in Georgia, and they tell me, hey, brother, we brothers, you got a Black family, stay away from cities like Forsyth County that is known to breed racists. All right. And go here in Atlanta, or you could go to the outskirts of Atlanta, and those are the safe zones. Right. And that is part of leadership, because I'm now communicating with other people that been in that territory and that knows what's going on. And that's how we created the Green Book. The Green Book was created to help other Black people in their safe journey that was traveling with their family, to know what hotels to go to, what restaurants to go to, and also bypass what cities at nighttime not to travel through. That is the same as communicating.
Yeah.
That's the communicating with the traffic, air traffic towers. That's the equivalent to that, right? And people don't understand it, but I'm trying to break it down to you guys so you can see the correlation of how it pretty much runs the same. Making announcements to the passengers and the crew members about flight progress updates, such as encountering turbulence or approaching, I can't really see what that is, but I'm pretty sure it's another weather disaster, right? So the same thing as that. That is the same thing as your man leading you by telling you guys and his family what to look for. This is a key element that a lot of people don't understand. I tell women all the time, look, you are not going to get with me, but I want you to get with somebody that has the same mindset as me, right? It'd be no different than me telling Major's wife that before she got with Major. I would be like, get with somebody that thinks like me, that will want to protect you in a way that sees exactly what's out here happening, that sees the world and sees through the matrix for what it is. Somebody that's not going to lead you into the slaughterhouse, right? The blind leading the blind. You don't want to have a leader that is blind to the bull crap. Correct. Because the blind leads the blind right into the slaughterhouse. So when you get somebody like me, Major or Bobby, that can sit back and break down the matrix for what it is and see things, so that way you avoid it and not get caught up with the masses, because at the end of the day, there's population control. White supremacy is all about population control. That's always been on the board. Whether they give you the shot that you guys seen, whether they drop bombs, whether they poison your water, whether they do environmental racism and have you living by power lines and power plants, is medical apartheid, financial apartheid. There's so many levels of systematic racism and how white supremacy enters all aspects of life, that if you don't have a man that is a true leader, you're going to end up being a statistic, right? So it's very important for you to get a man who can lead you properly and understand when he's leading you into a place that's protecting you and is going to end up giving you more of a survival rate than a woman who doesn't have that guy who sees in that form of fashion. Very important. So that is the leader of what a man does in the submissive role, why you submit to him. Now, the co-pilot would be the compromising part of a man and also the role of the woman. The woman is the co-pilot, right? She's on the journey with you. She isn't mentioned. You don't see her. She plays the role that is very powerful, but she is very hidden, right? And you want your woman to be hidden because you don't want your woman to be out front as a target with you. That's the reason why you always make sure that when you go into a room, you go in first. Your woman's behind you. Stay close to me. Stay behind me. Grab onto me. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why you ride a motorcycle and she's not riding it, and you're behind her, clutching up, squeezing her back, and she's grabbing your man boobs or whatever. You're grabbing her boobs or nothing because you're too busy squeezing on her. No, you're riding the bike and she's holding on tight because you're leading them to safety, right? So it's no different when you are the one making sure that you're doing what you need to do to protect your woman in that aspect. So when you come into the co-pilot era, She is there. She's the one that is doing a lot of things, but also is doing it while under your guidance and protection. And that is so key because now you guys are operating like you've seen the movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You guys are operating cohesively and you're taking out people together because you guys understand your strengths and weaknesses. And now you guys operate on that to make sure that you and your family survives this game of life. So a co-pilot, also sometimes called in the first is called the first officer, helps the primary pilot or captain on a flight operate the airplane and maintain navigation. A co-pilot works in the cockpit of the airplane and takes direction immediately from the captain. So she takes immediate direction from her man. That's the submissive part because you're submitting to his lead, right? They can have several responsibilities such as preparing the aircraft and cockpit before flights, all right? So when you go on a trip, what does your wife do? Your wife makes sure that the lunch is packed, everything is packed, food is down, everything is organized and getting ready to put on to this journey that we're going on. She's the one to make sure that everything checks off and everybody is suffice enough with meal proportions and also have an adequate amount of water. So she's the one who maintains and makes sure that everything is good as far as what you need to basic survival. Helping the captain complete departure and landing. She's also out there to make sure that, you know, to double check. She is the extra eyes. They always say 2 heads is better than 1. 4 eyes is better than 2. Yep. So she's your checklist. She's your extra checklist. Because a lot of times when we lead, we are too much focused on leading so much that we overlook some of the smallest things. True. And because your wife doesn't have the pressure you have, she now can pick up on the little things that you might have missed. So might forgot the gas cap on top of putting the gas cap back on. You got it on top of the truck. She rolls around the truck, make sure everything is okay, and says, "Hey, honey, the gas cover is on top of it." And you're like, "Oh, geez, I almost drove off with it." You know what I'm saying? Or your phone might be up there. Something. Your wife is always going to be there to catch that. So that's how that maintains, right? Maintaining records of navigation and events that occur during a flight, such as turbulence. So while you're driving, you're on this journey, my eyes as your leader is focused on the road. I'm focused on the map of getting us there and not really focused on everything that's outside the ramps and the parameters of what it is. That's where your wife is. Your wife is looking out the window. She's seeing things way before in the corner of your peripherals that you can't see. She's also checking in the back of the mirrors because a lot of times you got to look forward to see where you're going, and she might be back there paying attention to what's going on in the back. She's your extra eyes and making sure that you don't miss something or see something and catch something that's on the journey to make sure that it doesn't affect everybody on that trip as well. Following instructions from the captain, following the lead of the captain, very important because the captain is well equipped of what's going on in this journey. So if he tells her, "Hey, honey, find out on Siri how far it is to get to this gas station or this food station," he doesn't have the time to do that while driving. She does. So she'll go into her phone and Google it up and do it. "Hey, honey, it's about an hour and some minute. Make sure you turn on I-10, go right, and take you down there and follow it through in the gas station." "All right, thanks, babe. Appreciate it." That's the communication. That's the instructions. And that's how you execute to make sure everybody on this journey benefits from that. Updating the plane long after each flight. Updating the airplane logs after each flight. So she's going back and making sure that the checklist, everything off the checklist is correct. The flight went smooth. What needed to be improved next time. She's making sure everything checks out, check the box, everything like that. Dope. reviewing the performance on the aircraft and keeping records of important details. So, like I say, the key details of everything, the little tedious things that the captain can't really focus on, she's the one that focuses on. So, to bring it in context with the marriage, so your husband who's leading is taking care of the major bills. He's taking care of the car note. He's taking care of the car insurance. He's taking care of the mortgage. He's taking care of making sure everything around the house is being fixed and nothing is broken. These are the major things that he's doing. You got to make sure that the Netflix bill is checked off, the light bill is checked off, groceries are in the house. All the little things that he doesn't really have time to do because he's handling the major things. You're over there reviewing the small things, the small details that he doesn't have time to take care of. And those are the things that you are taking care of. And those are the things that you're executing and making sure that everything is taken care of. So that way the whole house runs smoothly. He got all the major bills, you take all the small bills. That's a aspect of it if that's how your household is ran. If you don't take care of the bills, then hey, it's something else. Maybe it's cooking, making sure that you have enough starch to starch out his clothes in the morning. Whatever the case may be, he's handling the major, you're handling the minor. Taking over for the captain in emergency situation arises, right? So we talk about that all the time. We talk about how you need a woman. It is very important. No matter what you do, it is very important for you to select the right woman. Because when you select the right woman, in case you're not able, or you go down because you might have stepped on a nail and now you got to go to the hospital real quick, or you might have fell off a ladder and might have injured your hip and has it out for a week or two. Whenever you go down, you want to have somebody on your team, your wife or your partner, that is strong enough to maintain the flight or the destination and don't miss a beat until you can get back into the driver's seat. So if we're on, let's say we're taking a family ride and we're going out of town and I'm driving and my stomach is messed up. I'm throwing up or doing all this other thing, and you pull over and I'm throwing up and I'm feeling woozy and I can't drive anymore. You jump in the driver's seat and now you're taking us and the family to the destination. And then 5 hours I get to sleep. I feel a lot better. Guess what? Pull over. I take back over. This is what it is when they say that a co-pilot takes over for the pilot, because in that measures, and that means in that instance, that co-pilot is not, that pilot is not able to do his job. You are able to hold float and hold the family up until the pilot, your man, is back in the position to do it. And you never know, he might lose his job and have to go and get another job. In the meantime, your income or whatever you're doing is suffice enough to keep the family on float. He gets the job back and now you're back in your regular position. So you're always going to need somebody there just in case something go down, that they're strong enough to maintain till you get back on your feet. And that helps you, and it also helps your family with your children as well, because when daddy goes down and you have mama taking the wheel, the family doesn't miss a beat and the children don't get caught up in the crosshairs of now figuring out that they have to cut back on what they need to cut back, and they have to worry themselves, and which children shouldn't even have to worry. You want to keep a child's mind in a child's place and thinking about children things and not grown level activities or responsibilities. So it's very important for you to have a dominant mate. A man needs a woman that is suffice enough, and a woman needs a man that is strong enough. And that's where you get the submissive in comparison to. So I just wanted to wrap that up and show you that I use the co-pilot and pilot when I talk about marriage or relationships and how it functions and how I feel like it should function. Now, you might agree with me, You might not agree with me, but that to me is just how I break it down for the people that might need something in a more element to make them realize in a more visual way. Because, like I say, everybody's been on a plane and everybody pretty much knows the functionality of the plane. So it gives you more clarity when we talk about submissiveness and compromise when dealing in relationships and marriages. So, you fellas, any feedback on that that you guys want to chime in on? You can go ahead and do that now.
Brother, I just think it was very well said and very thoughtful, a very well put together analysis. That's pretty much just how it operates, man. You know, we talk a lot about, submission and compromise and all this stuff, but some of us don't understand how to put it in a real world type of setting. And I think that you did an excellent job of that. That is, a real world example of, how um, leadership and compromise and submission and, being the first and being the backup, if you will. That's how that works. You know what I mean? It's a real, working example of what that is and what it looks like. And, we have a whole industry that's very successful from, that type of a hierarchy every day.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for people to see that. I think that to go back to something that you said before, is my commentary was more on something that was said a while ago. One of you said something to the effect of just talking about how people basically use submission as a dirty word, and
Mhm.
they kind of use submission as a dirty word as an excuse not to change. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I think that's where I think that's really the sweet spot that we got to hit on and make sure that we hammer that home on this show. Too many of us just don't want to change. We're stuck in our ways. We're lazy. We see that what we're doing is not working. We see that everybody can't lead. We see that women, especially, women will often talk about, how men out here are not leading and how men out here are not they don't have the wherewithal to lead, whatever the case may be. Then when they meet a man who is a man's man, who is an alpha, they want to tell you how to move. They want to tell you how to lead. They want to tell you, in essence, how and when it's okay for you to be a man. And that
He's
shit is
too
gonna stop. You know what I'm saying?
consoling, Major. That's the
Bobby,
problem.
Bobby
He's
got the neck waving down,
controlling.
right?
He's
Listen,
controlling.
sisters.
He wants to dominate people.
He's controlling. Yeah. And there are some men out there that are controlling,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to totally dismiss that argument. But a lot of times, what women call controlling is men instituting structure.
Yeah.
And a lot of women aren't used to that because they haven't had any structure their entire lives. They, just kind of did what they wanted to do. They didn't have a disciplinarian in the home. So they're not,
Yeah.
they're not understanding this. This is something kind of foreign to them. They've seen it on Good Times. You understand what I'm
Mm.
saying? But in real life, they never see this up close and they don't know what to do. At the end of the day, sisters, you can't go out looking for a man who is this that taller, you know, um, more educated, um, wealthier. You want the ers so that you can learn from this individual and you can follow their lead. Then when you get in that position, you just want to do what you want to do. It don't
Mm.
work like that. You understand what I'm saying? You have to, as our sister Mila Renee said in the chat, even before that, be a woman who can follow. The difficulty there stems from the fact that most Black women are raised and are reared to lead and not need a man.
Mm.
Unlearning must happen. I couldn't agree with her more. You understand?
Mm.
I see examples of this literally almost hourly. Social media is a powerful tool. And you see these sisters on here all day. It's like they're in a competition to be as masculine as they can be. And then they wonder why masculine men aren't checking for them.
Yeah.
It's really simple that they think that beauty's going to carry the day. Nah, it don't work like that. I think one of the issues that is affecting dating more so than anything, and Jason Black talks about this, is the power dynamic aspect of dating and relationships. And the fact that women, they will seek out these powerful men, but then they don't want to give up anything in order to be in their space.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. In order to qualify to even get in the space of such men, of said men, you need to be ready and willing to submit. Period. And I think that it's very important for gentlemen for us to get this out of the way early. I'm talking about like within the first week of dealing with a woman, whatever the case may be. You need to have this conversation about submission and compromise and so forth and so on to find out who you are dealing with. Because at the end of the day, the woman, the type of energy that she provides, she's going to need to be comfortable with and okay with trusting your leadership in order for things to work. If you are an alpha, if you're not an alpha, you will be by the time you finish listening to us. You understand? And we that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make more alphas, to create more alphas. As men, we need to stand in our truth. We need to stand in our capacity to lead, and we need to be ready. We need to show up on day one with that plan and with that roadmap to provide to our sisters so that they do trust us and that they are willing to come along and in the spirit of togetherness move with us. However, if you're not prepared to submit, it's simply not going to work. It's antithetical to the natural order of things.
Yeah. Definitely. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that about the list, because you did hand me over a list that we definitely would go through. And this is a
Yeah.
great list before you engage with somebody or even before you get married. This is a list of things that you need and criteria you need to go over. So
Yeah.
let's go over the list right quick, right? Before you get married, you need to
Actually,
discuss
Bobby.
bills.
Yeah.
This was Bobby. Oh, this was
Yeah.
Bobby that sent that to me?
Yes.
Okay, Bobby. Okay, Bobby sent
Oh
this to me.
yeah. This one.
I want to make sure we don't do that
Yo, we
again. That was
always,
Bobby.
yo,
Make sure
listen.
you hear me this time.
Yeah, we give credit to where credit is
WCWC.
due, bruh. We know we flowing together, but we love to give credit where credit is due. So,
I,
Shout out to
Bobby,
I,
Drake.
I
I,
apologize.
I
This is
appreciate that, but y'all know I don't trip over things like that. I'm about to
yeah,
Okay.
dig. I'm about to
definitely.
dig W's, but I appreciate it all the same.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
but
shout
we
you
gotta
out, brother.
we do it. I know I do it because I want people, if they want to hit you up in the inbox, like, yo, this dude got, whoever it is, they can
Hey,
always hit them up and just get
but
follow up
that's
on
why I rock
details.
with y'all because the integrity, that integrity
Yeah,
factor is on trend.
Yeah.
definitely. We want to know because I don't want nobody thinking I did this list and then they come in my, hey man, where do you get that list from? Or what? No. You go see Bobby. Don't see me. Go see Bobby.
There you
All
go.
right. So before you get married, make sure you discuss bills.
Yeah.
Make sure you're discussing parenting styles, which I think is
Mm.
very, very important, especially
Mm.
now in this era where we have the LGBT agenda going at the children. So
Yeah.
it's very important with that. Also, if you are a Muslim man and you're marrying a Christian woman, where does that parental style pick up and leave off?
Right.
Are you going to flow with some Christianity or are you going to flow with some of the Muslim ideology? How does that look? You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that could be a very much deal breaker because a lot of times people are passionate about their religion and they have their views of that's how they want their child. You know, And I think that is very important that you talk about the parental styles. Talk about credit, definitely. Credit and debt. That works hand in hand because you don't want to be with somebody who has jacked up credit and enormous amount of debt. Because when you get married, their debt becomes your debt.
Yeah.
And it is very, very important. If you feel like you are a man that is rocking a Superman outfit and you have an S on your chest and you feel like no matter what debt she has, you are gonna be that super Negro to carry both of y'all to the next, hey, to Krypton. Hey, more power to you. I am not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but what I am telling you is just figure out what you're dealing with before you deal with it. And that's the purpose of this list.
Real
Religion.
talk.
We talked about that. Religion is very, very much a deal breaker when you're getting married, especially when you have children. How to deal with family. That is a good one because some people don't mess with family members. They might have boundaries. They might have cutoff points with certain family members. You
Mhm.
have some women that don't get along with their mothers. You have some men that know their mother is very toxic and they keep their mother at a distance. Now, some women feel like no matter how toxic your mother is, you should still have that close bond with them in that instance. But if that close bond cripples your husband, then you're really setting your husband up, your future husband up, for a downfall. So it all depends on how you see how people should interact with family and how much of a lifeline do you give with family. Do you have boundaries with family, or are you a mama's girl, or is he a mama's boy?
Mm.
That's very important to understand that. And I think we talk more about in society, we talk more about mama's boys, but we don't talk about mama's girls, and they're very toxic as well. They're controlled by their mothers and let their mothers destroy their marriages as well. So it's very important you figure out how to deal with family. Um, what beliefs will be instilled in your children? We just talked about that, right?
Mhm.
Childhood traumas,
Big one.
very important. Childhood
Big one.
traumas, that is a big one. And I know Major talked about traumas in general. So you want to speak on that one, Major?
Yeah, I mean, traumas generally and childhood trauma. We had a conversation a while back about this, and I was just explaining to you, like,
Hmm.
I talked about the first few months where I was dealing with my wife and how it was kind of an interrogation of, and I don't mean that to be cruel or sound menacing, but certain things I feel like you need to ask about way before you get to the point where it's something that you have to know about. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Childhood traumas, huge part of that. I cannot tell you how many women I've dealt with who have told me that they were raped as a child or molested as a child or whatever the case may be. And I feel like this is something that you have to know going in. It's not something you can find out a year or two later. If so, you are doing yourself a disservice because you really
mm,
don't understand the mental space that this person is coming from or that they're operating in, because you need knowledge of such monumental occurrences in someone's life to really fully understand them. And therefore, in order to really make an apt decision on whether or not you want to deal with them, you know what I'm saying? You get to
mm,
the point where, damn, they're having some type of meltdown or some type of flashback, and then it comes up and then it's being addressed, and you're like, damn, I don't even know this person.
mm,
And not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that you need to equip yourself for. It's something that you need to understand, something that you need to understand on a deep level. And so do they. Sometimes they need therapy, sometimes they need counseling. And nothing in their life is going to work properly until they get that, because there's a deep, dark imbalance there that's preventing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that trauma, childhood trauma specifically, those are things. When you see that, yo, this shorty is nice, I can see myself with her, like she's for real, damn, that's when you got to kind of dial back a bit, separate yourself from yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
ask the difficult, uncomfortable questions,
Mm-hmm.
because that will not it's not a if and or but, that will rear its ugly head sometime down the road, and you need to know about it, and hopefully cut it off at the pass. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Preach,
It's very important.
preach.
You wanted to say something? Oh, you said preach. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh
Real talk. I've seen it up close, man. It's heavy.
definitely. Sexual
Shoot, I've
expectation.
lived that.
What you said?
Oh,
What you said, Bobby?
and I said I've lived that before. I've seen that firsthand. It can be
Mm.
very ugly.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, the next one, sexual expectations. Woo,
Yeah. That's a big one too.
major, major.
That's
Is
a
that
big one too.
sexual
Or it can be.
expectation? Is that sexual expectations greater for the woman or is it greater for the man?
Depends on the
Could
relationship.
could be both. I
Could
mean,
be both.
if
Yeah.
we're being
Depends on the
honest,
relationship.
if
Yeah.
we're being
But
honest, a lot of issues that happen in marriages stem from that to a degree. You have in a number of different ways. Sometimes there's no actual discussion about it going in, so things might start out one way and people just assume that this is how it's going to be,
yeah.
Yeah.
and they get married and then things switch up for whatever reason, more responsibilities tack on or whatever, but one person's entering this relationship with a certain degree of expectation for sex. It can be frequency of sex, how often y'all having sex. It can also
True.
be the quality of sex, the things that y'all are doing, things that are important to the other person, or things that are deal breakers or whatever. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
sex is a heavy issue. Sex isn't the biggest thing in a marriage, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of sex as the glue.
Yeah.
That's the thing that kind of keeps things together. It's kind of keeps some insulation when you go into rough patches, or whether some less glamorous areas that are going on in the relationship.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That sex is the thing that kind of helps bring y'all back together, kind of rights the scale. People talk about makeup sex all the time. Those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things can definitely help make the journey a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But a lot of times now, it's the honorable thing if your sexual needs aren't being met and looks as though things aren't going to improve, to just go your separate ways. But a lot of people, for one reason or another, they either, are hoping that things will change on their own, hoping that things won't always be this way, or maybe they, it's not convenient, or they're going to have to take some hits financially or in other situations, or they want to stick around for the kids. And so they'll try to do things like cheat or something that causes other issues that pop up. But these are things that could have at least been curbed if sexual expectations were discussed and set early. Just
Yeah.
because y'all were dating whatever and y'all were at it like rabbits, y'all couldn't keep your hands off each other. That's not a guarantee that things are going to be the same going forward. And ultimately, if you did not have the conversation, if you didn't put a rubber stamp on it, okay, so we're agreeing together, we're not assuming or hoping, crossing fingers. If we haven't, as adults, set this out on the table
Mm.
and said, this is what I'm looking forward to, this is what you're looking forward to, we agree on this, then you can't hold anybody to that later on. It's perfectly fine for them to switch it up and not say anything because y'all didn't discuss it to begin with.
Mm.
Mm.
So that's one of
Yeah.
those things that you can't leave up the chance because again, that's a major thing. And I was talking about this in another sense with some people the other day, and I said, look, when you are with somebody, when you're married to somebody, especially if y'all not looking to do the whole open marriage or engagement with other people thing, you're looking to be faithful with this one person, you're looking to them to be faithful to you. What that means is you have signed up to be responsible for this person's sex and sexual outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
You've signed up to be the sole person responsible for their sexual pleasure. You're the guardian of their orgasms. You're the gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Real talk.
Nobody is signing up for mediocrity to be with your ass. And I mean, when you're married, that's supposed to be some of the best sex, the healthiest sex you have, because this isn't somebody that you know is going to up and leave you the next day or it's going to be a one night stand. No, this is someone who's committed to you, who's going to stay good, bad, up and down. This is supposed to be someone that you're comfortable with. So
Right.
you even do the things with this person that you might not have done for somebody that was just going to be there for the week or the weekend or whatever. This is the person that you can let your hair down and be yourself with. So you should be able to have the best sex, the most quality sex, the most intimate sex with this person. Ain't nobody
Should
sign
be.
up to go ahead and get some once a month, quarterly type action with your ass. No, they could have
Mm-hmm.
stayed
I
single
want
for
to,
that.
yeah, I want to be like pops off of boomerang. He's like bang, 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 bang.
Duh, 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 duh.
Hey,
Yoo-hoo!
real talk though, I got some partners who they be talking that
Rest in peace,
quarterly.
John Witherspoon. Oh no, no,
I
no.
got some
Now,
partners who marry and they be talking that quarterly, man. Like they
Yeah.
get it once every 3 months. Real talk.
now, now, for some people, that's fine. For some people,
Yeah,
that's
if
not a
it's
big deal
cool
for them.
with
That's
you,
cool. But again,
yeah,
if this wasn't what was on the paper, and if y'all didn't discuss it and put it on paper, then I mean, who you mad at, them or you?
Mm,
yeah, yeah. You gotta.
You knew this was
It.
big for you, and you didn't make it. If you sign a contract right now, you sign under a business negotiation with somebody to get this paper
yeah.
together, and there's a big thing that says, I'm not accepting any deal that's under 500K or whatever. But you don't. That's big for you, but you don't have that put in the contract, and they don't put that in the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up getting broke off only 100K. Who you mad about?
No doubt.
Yeah, you ain't put that in there.
You got to
You ain't
advocate
set
for
the.
yourself, and you can't be afraid that, oh, if I say this, I'm afraid I'm going to scare this. No, you
Nah.
got to walk
Yeah,
on eggshells. That's a sign this might not be for you.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
okay.
It's, it's definitely something that needs to be addressed because I just went to a draft party the other day and we had the same discussion. There was a guy in there that was married with his wife, and she, they and there was another couple that was married, and one couple was like, yeah, twice a week. That's fine with you. And then the other girl was like, twice a week. She was like, wow. And then his girl, well, her husband was he wanted it seven times a week. And
Mm.
I'm not mad at him. I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, I'm right up there too. So I'm
Okay.
I'm with him. And then I said to him, I said, "You're from the islands, huh?" He said, "Yeah, man, I'm from Jamaica." I said, "Oh, I'm Jamaican too. No wonder
Mm.
this motherfucker
That's how
over
that damn
here."
porridge y'all eating.
Yeah, this motherfucker over here, American. No wonder his ass wanted 2 times a week. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so, so we was laughing, but at the end of the day, do what works for you. But
Yeah.
if you have something that is required and it's not being met, you're going to have issues. And if it's sexual, there's going to increase the chances of you stepping out. So we don't want that to happen. So have the
Right.
tough talk and don't be afraid to walk away. If this woman is a beautiful woman, don't be afraid to walk away from that. Now, if she checks off a lot of your
Ooh.
boxes, then maybe you want to see if you guys could come to a reasonable agreement. If it's not
Right.
7 times a week, maybe 5. If she's cool with 5, take it.
Mm.
Take it. But
I will say this. At least we
yeah,
talking about per week. Some of these cats, man, it's like I said, it's quarterly. That I think that tends to be more of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, once every 3 months for most people, that's kind of scarce. You feel me? And
oh yeah,
so, I've heard more of that. Like, okay, at least we talking weekly, but it's cats out here, man, that don't see it
They in,
hardly
they in the
ever. A few
desert.
times a year.
hey,
They in the
listen.
desert.
Yeah, so do what you guys got to do
Yeah.
and make sure you are lined up. Partner expectations.
Hmm.
Yes, it's very important that you understand your partner's expectations because you need to understand where your end goal for your partner is. And if your end goal looks different from their end goal, depending on something that is a similar expectation, then you might be bumping heads. And a lot of times, when you look at marriages, a lot of marriages breaks off because of the expectations. And what the expectations is normally is really decoded as I grew apart from my mate. Meaning when they say I grew apart from my mate, meaning most of the times is that I wanted more expectations out of it than they did, or I was trying to grow and they were stagnant at that level because they felt comfortable at that level
Mm.
and I wanted more. And that's a lot of times is when couples get together at a young age and they grow together and they notice that one partner stops at a certain level and one
Yeah.
partner keeps going on,
Hmm.
and that is going to also be a rift and cause a breakup in the long run. So partner expectations is very, very important. Financial expectations is also important. Um, I don't think it's a big deal depending on the person you're with because financial expectations can vary. But like I say, if your partner is willing to grow and grow in the field of getting more money, meaning going to get more certifications and this and that, then that can cause a huge rift as well because majority of the times it's women that's going and getting more of these certifications and making more money. And now if you have a woman who makes more money than you, now that can create a rift because now that depending on how she is, she can now make him feel financially insecure and not make him feel like the man of the house. And that too will break up a marriage. So you got to be very careful with the financial expectations on that and making sure that you guys are on the same page and also that money doesn't change the lingo that you guys speak within that relationship. Family health history. Uh, yes, very important. I think as people of our community, we need to understand um, that there's a lot of people out here with illnesses, leukemia, sickle cell, um, um, uh, cancer. You know, there's so many different illness out here that you have to ask people, what's in your family history, or even going and taking the test that both of you guys see to make sure that you guys aren't linking together to create offspring that will suffer in the long run. So yes, it should you should have testing with each other, and you guys should know each other's family health history because that will definitely play a big part further on down the line as well. Mental health history is very important because you don't want to be cased up with a psycho, somebody that goes off the walls at any given moment, and you're thinking it's based on society, and that could be a DNA mental health issue that comes from that's genetic and that's created that way. So it's very important that you guys talk about the mental health history, and mental health has been a very hot topic for the last couple of years. So it's very important that we do get familiar with our partners in that aspect as well. Bucket list, yes, bucket list is good. It's definitely good to have one. I always recommend doing a vision board. A vision board is super dope, and that's an excellent way to do a bucket list. Um, so that'll be dope. Dream home. Dream home varies. You know, everybody, especially in this element right now where we're in, shit, people are just glad to have a home. I'm seeing a lot of people sleeping in their cars, so that can
Mm.
be a little bit that could be flexible. Dream home could be flexible, but you do
Yeah.
want to talk about it though, because you might some people might want to have a home by the ocean. Some people might want to have it in the city. Some people might want to be off the grid. So it's figure out where it is that they want. But that is a little bit flexible. Career and
Mm.
education definitely. Definitely want to know about careers and education because especially with AI coming up, a lot of the career and education is going to be taken over by the AI technology. So you want to make sure that you're going into fields that have protection from AI. So moving forward, you might want to have a nice discussion about that to make sure that there is a job stability because you could be making 60 grand today and in 5 years will be out of a job and that field will be taken over by AI and a human versus AI in certain situations that AI more than likely would take over and win that position.
Mm.
Political views and whatever comes to mind, yes, that is one top three things you must talk about political views
Agreed.
because
Yes.
political views are very important about how you're moving forward, and especially if you're a person who is about the community and looking forward to building in a community builder. Political views are very, very important, and you don't want to be wifed up with a coon or a sambo.
There you go.
And they come in both genders. They come in women and they come in a man version. So make sure that your mate is not a political sambo or a political coon or a sellout. So you got to make sure what their political views are matched up with you. And that also goes back into the submissive part of it, because I feel like as the men that have great political views, um, they're the ones that are going to lead their family in the right direction. So it's very important for the man to have great sense of a political view and a political stance that is in the favor of community building and family building, and also putting our community and our people in a greater position to get tangibles over getting uh, what they call symbolic victories or symbolic things. So that is very important. So that concludes our list, and shout out to Bobby for giving us that list, and that was super dope.
Absolutely.
Uh, we definitely want
Real quick,
to,
let me
yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick, let me just tack on to that at the end. Just for the
Yeah.
record, also,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're discussing these different things with your mate, and
Mm-hmm.
you come to an understanding on these different things, once you set these things out at the beginning, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's etched in stone. So just
Correct.
because you've come up with an idea on discussing on how you want to go about handling bills, you set your ideas about religion or careers and education, just because you go into the relationship with those things on the table, doesn't mean it's going
Yeah.
to stay that way because times change, people change. What was good today might not be necessarily good for tomorrow, but this is about having an idea of what you're walking into. You
Correct.
know, there's a saying that goes, plans are worth I'm paraphrasing, but basically, plans are useless, but planning is useful. So you might
Mm.
come up with plans that you end up throwing away or tossing away that don't do any good. But the idea of planning, of thinking things out, of having these different options out there, just considering these possibilities, that's what's valuable. So
Mm.
you guys might have a blueprint today, tomorrow doesn't work, but at least you have something. So you can say, okay, we
Mm-hmm.
have this. Maybe we only need to tweak one or two things on this list. Maybe only one
Correct.
thing needs to be fixed. Maybe you need to throw the whole damn list out.
Correct.
But the point is, you put these things up front and you have at least an expectation.
Correct.
And expectations are important because expectations are how you keep and hold people accountable. You can't come later on saying, you're supposed to do X, Y, Z, and then the other person has the ability to say, well, we never talked about that, we never discussed that, or we agreed such and such. When you put
Correct.
it
Right.
out there, it serves as a reference for you so you can remember, okay, this is what the plan was when such and such comes about. And it can also be used to hold each other accountable. Well, babe, we're supposed to be hitting on this, we're working. What can I do to help you meet your part, or maybe you've kind of been slacking this front. Is there something I can do to help you, or what's going on? Talk to me. These give you things so you can game plan and you can improve and do better later on. But again, if this isn't in place, the wrong time to come up with a game plan is in the middle of the game. You don't want to be in the second half of the game. It's like, okay, well, let's come up with a plan.
Correct.
Damn, what you been doing for the last 2 quarters?
Hmm.
It's kind of late now. So,
Right.
if you fail to plan, then you have definitely unequivocally planned to fail.
Correct. Definitely.
No doubt.
So we're definitely going to get into this list right here where we talk about compromise. So the green side is non-compromise, and on the orange side is compromise. So respect isn't presented. That's non-compromising. Needs are unmet more than often than not. Big blow-ups, big blowouts, eggshelling, avoiding hard combos, and shove it down. Um, hold up. Autopilot. Your title is guaranteed. Parent and child dynamic. Uneven power dynamics. Mentally, physically, and emotional labor is invisible or lack or not talked about. Lack of emotional safety and intimacy. And sex is goal oriented, sealed off, and used for leverage.
Hmm.
So the compromising part of that is mutual respect, anticipation of needs, difficult conversation, constant reevaluation of want, needs, and roles, inadequate physical, equitable physical, emotional, and mental labor, actions aligned with words, emotional intimacy, safety is present, takes responsibility for mistakes and growth, vulnerability, prioritizes shared pleasure in all areas, and every day is a choice. So
Hmm.
this is the non-compromise versus the compromise. You guys can look at that list whenever you feel free. You can rewind back and check it out and go into more details about it. We also want to give you this list as well. This is a good list for you to basically utilize. So communicate clearly and often. Tell your spouse that you're thankful for having him or her in your life. Make time for you two as couple. Plan for some personal time. Understand that it's okay to disagree. Build trust and learn to forgive. And
Great
I
game.
think I think those steps would definitely help you into a healthy relationship and definitely in a healthy marriage. And fellas, remember, at the end of the day, you're not going to get it right. You are learning. Don't let nobody sit here and deem you. As long as you have it where you want to learn and be better than the previous day, and you're working on being better, you're working on your discipline, you're working on yourself, fix your crown, King. Your mistakes don't make you less of a man. Your mistakes, if you learn from them, actually makes you more of a man. All right? So
Hmm.
always remember that. All right? And remember, at the end of the day, you got to understand it's not the times we're living in now. And, major respect to Major for jumping off the porch, right? And ending up in a marriage during a time where the dating pool is seems like it's not doing good for a lot of people, right? Um, but you got to remember, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Hold on, I got
I
to
hear that
mute you,
noise.
Bobby, because your noise is kicking in. All right, so remember, it's difficult. Being an old school romantic in a hookup culture is a special kind of hell.
Man, that's heavy.
So I, I
That's heavy,
want
bro.
I want y'all to understand.
Mm.
I feel the pain of my brothers out there, but
Yeah.
there are good women out there. You just gotta filter through the bull crap.
Yep.
You got to take the time and filter through, but there are great women out there. I would never say that the dating pool has pee in it. It is a reflection of how you see it. I see the dating pool as something great, right?
Mm.
Um, because my vision is different. Now, I'm not in the dating pool, but I'm just telling you how I viewed it as something being great. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen a lot of great women,
Mm.
and it's how you visualize it, how you see it. But
No
remember,
doubt.
at the end of the day, you're being an old school romantic in a hookup culture is a special kind of help. And you
That's
need to get
heavy.
out of the flames and find your heaven in your woman.
No doubt. That's that. Let me tell you something, man.
Yeah.
It I haven't put it exactly that way, but
Mhm.
that kind of defines and explains my dating experience prior to meeting my wife. You
Yeah.
know, because I'm a very old school type of dude, you know, and I
Yeah.
believe in true love and I believe in, romance and all that, all the lovey-dovey stuff, right? I do. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't
Yeah.
know it just from, knowing the surface beat that a lot of people know, like you say, and I'm kind of viewed as being stern and a little rough on the edges, so to speak. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
You
when I'm
know,
a
you
Gemini.
teddy bear, bro.
What happened?
You a teddy bear, bro. What you talking about? What nonsense is this? You
Listen,
slander
man,
my
I'm a
brother.
Gemini. You know what I'm saying? So I can switch out real quick. And so, when you're dealing with these, modern women, a lot of them are masculinized. And, a lot of women say a lot of modern men are effeminized.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that that's not true. I will say this, though, water seeks its own level.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And if you're out there, I've been guilty many a time of knowing that this particular woman that I was rocking with or that I was dating was just not on my level. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's not should have been somebody that never even got a response from hello. You know what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, usually the sexual access was there, or I wanted to go somewhere else with it and experiment, whatever the case may be, with a freak. It just happens that way. You know, when you're moving like that, you
Mhm.
can't forget that you're moving like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what happened is, or what happened to me quite a few times, I was moving with somebody that I knew was lackluster,
Mhm.
well below my standards. But like I said, you see, okay, this might be a good freak, whatever the case may be, or I like her body, the way she, put together this, that, and the third, and you just go with the low hanging fruit, knowing that it's low hanging fruit. Then you start to rock with them over a period of time, and in the spirit of normalcy, you start to see some real cool things about this person. Damn, shorty nice, she this, she that. Okay, she has good qualities, but in the back of your mind, she still ain't it. Then you end up, this place where you just kind of treading water. You ain't really going nowhere. You're just keeping afloat. You like the girl. You use, and I'm sure women experience this, but I only deal with women, so that's why I'm talking about it in this manner. You like
Mhm.
this person, you're into this person, y'all rocking. There are things that you like about them that are great, which is what's keeping you there.
Mhm.
But that they don't have the full package, so you can't move to the next level. You get in this weird space where you're just kind of stagnating. That is one of the main things that makes the dating pool suck,
Mhm.
for a lot of us anyway. We're not drawing a line in the sand. That's what I did when I found my wife. I drew a line in the sand. I said, okay, there are certain things that I absolutely must have. There are certain things that I absolutely will not tolerate.
Mhm.
Period. I don't give a damn how good you look, how fat your ass is, how much of a freak you might be, or I might fantasize about. It doesn't matter, and you see this all the time, guys. When we get on social media, or even when we're out and about or whatever, and we start talking about what our preferences are, people try to demonize us like we're not supposed to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm here to tell you right now, here and now today, long gone are the days where men are just going to sit back and let whoever run with whatever narrative they want to run with about how we are comported, how we think, what our preferences are, what it is that we require. We gonna shut your ass down quick and let you know what it is. Hey, look, tighten up. That ain't what. No, we ain't never said that. Sit down. Shut up. You don't speak for us. You know what I mean? And that is a good thing, because brothers, it will force those that want to rock with you, those that want to be in your space, those that want to fit into your plan, to step their game up. Same thing with the sisters. At the end of the day, folks, we have to reinstitute standards into the dating game. A lot of y'all don't have no standards. You know, you get out here and you just rock with somebody that's lackluster and, you know, doesn't really have the qualities and requirements, you know, that you know that you need, and that are sometimes, you know, just across the board good qualities and requirements. You're getting with people for all the wrong reasons and wondering why your relationships are failing. You know, you're not requiring certain basic things, you know,
Exactly.
like marriage before bearing children. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You're not required. That should be a requirement, you know, on
Definitely.
both sides, not just for the women. You know, I mean, we tend to put it more on the women because they're on the whole my body, my choice thing. Okay, that's fine. But I'm saying just certain things like that, because once you have a child, well, that's a whole other human being, and that's a whole other consideration that would-be suitors would have to take into account before, you know, getting into a serious involvement with you. You understand what I'm saying? And unfortunately, a lot of suitors, you know, they're going the other way on that. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
one of these people is going to come out here and bang on single mothers or whatever the case may be. That's not what I'm here to do. However, I am here to say that it, you know, it used to be something that was more of a one-off thing, a here and there thing, and now we're into this space where it's the culture, and that's just not acceptable. We have to do better than that. You don't have families by having, you know, this whole splinter family culture. You don't create nuclear families that way. That's just the long and short of it. And we have to, you know, have better standards and be more responsible regarding the decisions that we make when we're dealing with our significant others, because those decisions have long-term consequences, and we need to be prepared to deal with those. We can't come along demonizing people when they won't have us because we have children, when, you know, we didn't make the demands on the person that we had the children from, you know, to put the ring on the finger, whatever the case may be. Now 10 years later, you want to make the demands of this gentleman. Well, you know, he's right to question, okay, well, why is that demand being made on me when it wasn't being made on the other gentleman that you had children from, or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, it's a lot, huge conversation. Nobody's necessarily right or wrong, you
Yeah.
know, but I would just like to see us have better, you know, decision-making processes, and, you know, be more understanding of other people's preferences, and not try to demonize people for having certain preferences. You know, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to something as serious as, you know, our family structure. You know,
Definitely.
it is a legitimate concern. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. I definitely want to just show this video real quick that adds up
Go
to what
ahead.
you're
Go ahead.
saying.
Never be a happy woman dogging your man out. He's not a man yet, but he will be. But if you keep on dogging him, you won't have nothing, and you'll end up being a lesbian at home with yourself, with no man by your side, because your damn mouth
Oh,
is what it is. It's a snake pit.
Man,
It's
listen.
very important
To
that
quote
you
Devon
rock
Dudley,
your room.
oh my
Woo!
brother.
Brother with a word. Whoa.
Mm.
Whoa. Brother minister with a word. He ain't told no lie.
Ain't tell no lies.
You
No
can't tell me
Um,
lies,
Fred
man.
play baseball, but them home runs he be hitting.
we
I'm
definitely
saying,
need,
Reincarnated.
and that's the thing. We
definitely.
got to stop tearing each other down. Sisters, I was talking to a sister the other day online, and she got a little upset because Bobby was on that thread. Since you played that clip, man, I got to bring it back. You remember what I posted in the chat the other day? This sister, got her feathers ruffled a little bit because we were making a criticism of a sister and something
Mhm.
she said that was just kind of sideways and whack. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I think a lot of sisters got to do, and just people generally, but sisters are good for this. When you make a criticism of something that a black woman did, all of a sudden somehow you attacking black women. Sister, I had to explain to her. I had to go point by point and explain to her, first of all, I never attacked black women. I never specify the race of the woman who I'm criticizing. Furthermore, this is one woman and her action. Why are you taking it and saying, hey, I'm attacking black women because I'm attacking what this one knucklehead said or did? You understand what I'm saying? And I had to really, I let her have it a little bit. She didn't even respond. But I mean, what could she really say? When I start getting hot, I start cooking that ass. It's hard to respond. And I just had to let her know, man, look, you've pointed out everything and you've whined about everything on this post except what the actual post was about.
Mhm.
And that was that this sister did something real slick and sideways. You understand what I'm saying? You avoided everything but that. And you came up with all these deflections. You went over the hills and through the woods, and you started talking about how other races of men don't do that, which is idiot fodder. You sound like a fool. No. Some of the men out here who are talking the most about, women and their uh their flaws or whatever the case may be in some of the most vile ways are actually men of other races. What
Mhm.
I said and what black men often say is kind of mild. Now you do have some people out there who do, like we pointed out with that Cali West character, you do have some guys out there who do seem to really hate women. Okay, fine. But when you come out and you start talking about well-meaning brothers who are just pointing out, a specific behavior that we're noticing or that we notice, and you're jumping on the train to avoid accountability like everybody else, then you're just making our point for us. You know what I'm saying? You need to get out here and you need to be yelling as loud as we are about it because it's dysfunction at the end of the day. And if the reason why we're at the space that we're in is because everybody sat by quietly and just allowed the dysfunction, didn't say nothing about it. So for
Mhm.
you to try to, get out here and come at us or some sideways shit where we're just, kind of pointing out the obvious, you look real stupid.
Yeah.
We got to get off of that, man. We got to get off of that. And the energy of submission uh versus compromise is, something that is brought together by the spirit of cooperation at the end of the day. And we don't talk enough about that.
Mhm.
Not enough of us come into a romantic involvement or any type of such situation in the spirit of cooperation. Hey, I love you. I respect you. I have reverence for you. I want to cooperate with you so that we can move to the next level as individuals. And then, of course, as that spreads, more and more individuals start moving to that next level. And, okay, now as a society and as a nation, we can, move together in the spirit of cooperation and build. That's really
Mhm.
what it's about at the end of the day. But too many of us are on this individualistic bullshit, where we're just not. embracing that, and that has to
Definitely.
be corrected.
All right. So we definitely, that's a great point. And we're going to
Mm.
move to our next topic, which is the trending weekly topic for this week. And the trending weekly topic that we want to talk about real quick is that Lamar Jackson, uh, he ended up getting a more lucrative deal than Jalen Hurts. And we talked about Jalen Hurts last week.
Yeah.
Now, this week, he got a contract signing right before the draft happened Thursday. And NFL quarterback superstar Lamar Jackson fired his agent and hired his mom to negotiate his contract. He is now the highest paid quarterback after signing a $260 million for 5-year deal. He avoided the 3% agent fee and gave the 7.8 million to his mom, keeping it in the family. And when we talk about last week, I remember Major was talking about how even with Jalen Hurts, it just debunked the whole myth of that we don't work together as men and women
Mm.
and we don't protect ourselves in that aspect. And now you're starting to see a lot of black men giving way to black women, working hand in hand, and making sure we cut out the middle person, which normally is people that are uh, pretty much that don't look like us or don't affiliate with us, and cutting them out of the deal and putting in somebody that looked like us or somebody that would never get the opportunity to do that. And that's what Jalen Hurts did last week. He ended up giving, a black woman the opportunity to be his sports agent when women in that field alone don't get that opportunity, much less a black woman. And she got a big check off of that, which was super dope. And now Lamar Jackson does it with his mom cutting his agent and now giving his mom the money, which she would have never got that opportunity to get. But it was just so great for him to put her in that position to get that money. So definitely wanted to holler at that about because I know it was a trendy topic this week and
Mm.
super dope, super dope. Um, we also have this week in the news is Suki, right? So Suki came out this week saying that she likes to get peed on. Now we had conversation about that a couple
Jesus.
months back from one of the city girls who talked about getting peed on. And now Suki comes out and she's shaming other women to say, don't be scared to go out here and live your truth. And a lot of y'all women know y'all get peed on, but y'all don't want to say nothing. So she's really trying to encourage this bad culture behavior. And let's not forget, she has a song that she's affiliated with that talks about eating men's butthole. Um, and it's just the raunchiness is going to another level that is bringing us
Mm.
to a space that a lot of people are rebelling against and just feeling very disgusted by. And yeah, so I just turn it over to you guys for you guys that what's your thoughts on that
Real
with
I
quick.
feel hurt and set up.
Go ahead, Bob.
I feel hurt and set up because we just straight rolled in on such a high positive note. We got Lamar Jackson, we got Mama Jackson, and all this high level dollar getting. You see this history being made. We see a brother getting caked off properly. He's looking out for moms. Whatever. Just a beautiful moment for Black society.
Mm.
And then just while you walking like you Vince Man with that big old wire stroll, just all of a sudden out of nowhere, here comes this Mike Tyson, Francis Ngannou, Super Saiyan punch right to the groin that you wasn't even braced for, just out of nowhere.
yeah
Uh, but unfortunately, that's the roller coaster we're on. It's highs one day, lows the next.
yeah
Um, all I'm gonna say for this is that I really I miss the days where being famous and being notable and noted called for you actually having achievements.
Mm,
Where in order for you to get airtime, to be heard, to have a voice put out there, you had to do something. You had to have a talent. You
Mm-hmm.
had to be
You have to be
accomplished. You had to be
skilled.
brilliant. You had to be an author. You had to be a dope actor or actress. You had to be a talented artist. You had to do, in other words, you didn't get a free ride.
mm,
Mm.
If we don't call you famous, if we're gonna call you a celebrity, you had to be at that level. Hell, even the hoes back in the day,
Yeah.
they didn't get any notoriety unless they were able to bag a client or become a mistress to somebody high end. Marilyn Monroe wasn't really known of that until she was seen with JFK. And oh no, that's the president of the United States happy. Oh, say that. I mean, even then, you had to be at the top of your whole game to be known.
Right. No
Now,
doubt.
all you gotta do is have a damn Obama phone and free hotspot and
Yeah.
enough space in your phone to download Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and give them about 5 minutes and they'll find some way to get themselves noted and become a household name. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a
It's
wonderful
horrible,
time to
bro.
be alive, but damn, it's a dark time to be alive as well, man. Like again,
It is.
highs and lows. But
definitely.
it's as much as I dislike giving individuals like this any kind of airtime.
Mm,
Unfortunately, they are out there, and I do believe that it is important that there is pushback against this. So the difficulty is finding the balance or finding the tightrope line to walk on because you don't want to be promoting these people. You don't want to begin that message out there, that platform out there, but at the same time, it needs to be understood that people are drawing a line in the stand. They are pushing back and letting it be known, hey, we don't rock with this foolishness. We don't endorse this. This is not
Right.
the way.
yeah.
So, and I definitely feel that it's important. And I know we definitely make it a point to do this on our platform, where we
Mm,
promote more of what we want to see in the world,
mm,
Mm.
and we make sure that we give that that we're in sync and in harmony about how we feel about it, how we love it, how we respect it, how we want more of it. And when we do give boogers and ne'er do wells like this any sort of shine, it's important that the shine is more like a shiner, like a black eye. Let me know, yeah,
Mm.
this ain't
No
the
doubt.
way at all, ever. Not even on the off
exactly.
day.
Definitely.
Go ahead,
And
Paige. I gotta wash my eyes out.
Yeah. Just real just real quick, man. Like I put up a post earlier today and I was criticizing um Chrissy Teigen's dress that she wore with what's that simp's name? John Legend to the White House.
yeah.
And on my post, I made sure to go out of my way to answer the idiot questions before they even came in.
Yeah.
Because what people will say whenever you have an opinion on something that is different from theirs, instead of thinking and trying to understand why you have that opinion, they always ask these ridiculous questions. And the number one question they ask is, well, why do you even care?
Mm,
Right? Dumbass, this is why we even care. If you just saw that picture, that's why we even care, because you and other people like you allowed all this dysfunction and degenerate behavior for years, decades now. And Sukihana is the result. She is outrageous. She will do anything, anything. Those of us that have a problem with Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, she is Cardi B, Nicki Minaj on steroids. This woman will do anything. She has no standards. Did we just talk about standards?
mm,
She has no standards. And so, unfortunately, when we see this sister, I use the term sister loosely, when we see her, every time we see her, it's always about some bullshit antics, that she's engaged in. And it's never about, like Bobby says, never about her music, her talent, her craft, because she doesn't have any talent at the end of the day. And we have to take control of the narrative with these types of people, with these types of characters out here. you know, we just allow whoever to go out and act like whatever and allow that to be a representative of Black society, knowing that there's the one big nigga concept when it comes to us. We don't get to be individuals. We are seen, as our good brother Tariq Nasheed says, as one big nigga. You understand? So when Black people get out here and they're cutting the jig and they're acting a fool and they're cooning and they're running around half dressed, not even half dressed, they're running around naked practically with their husbands. You understand what I'm saying? That looks bad on all of us because the white media is going to use their powerful reach and they're going to magnify whatever negative behavior is taking place 1,000 times because it's a Black person exuding that behavior. You understand what I'm saying? And then it blows back on all of us. This woman will say anything. She's out here talking about how she likes to be pissed on. Next, she'll be talking about how she likes to be shitted on. You understand what I'm saying? Next, she'll be talking about, whatever she likes to. There's another one of them that was talking about they like oral when they're on their cycle. That was actually a few years ago that a female rapper said that. I don't even want to talk about who said it. I really don't, because she's changed now, or whatever. But bruh, you know what I'm saying? These type of low level, low life antics that, you know, people want to engage in, unfortunately, it becomes labeled as Black culture after a while, because we don't check that shit at the door. You understand? So
Yeah.
that is the significance of us speaking out, of us criticizing these folks, of us going at them with everything we got, because at the end of the day, people are going to use them to say, okay, this is how Black people are. They're going to use Suki and others like her to say, hey, this is how Black folks are. This is Black culture. They already do that with Cardi B. Cardi B's not even Black. You understand? But the stuff that she does that is negative and outrageous, they attribute that to Black culture. You understand what I'm saying? We got to get ahead of that. There are other groups out here. We talk about the Jewish community, we talk about the Asian community, or whatever the case may be, and there are things that we could learn from them in that capacity, because they don't just allow people to talk about them any old kind of way and portray them any old kind of way. And we have to get on that as well. We
True.
can no longer allow that because it's extraordinarily harmful.
And I love,
Clearly,
I
when you
love
got
how,
people out here like Suki, and she's some of these young women's role models.
yeah,
Think
I,
about
I
that.
love, I love how this girl right here checks a lot of the sisters. So this relates to the Suki thing, right?
And would
Okay.
never. You would never be able to stand up in no grown man face and talk to him the way you can talk to some of those hood dudes, because they ain't got no self-esteem and they'll let you do that. But that grown man pressure, y'all call that controlling. Those men
Mm,
have boundaries and standards on what they will and will not allow in these relationships with women, and y'all know that. A lot of y'all, the
mm.
only people you get approached by is hood dudes. The only ones that pay you compliments is hood dudes. So it's by default that you messing with those dudes, because grown.
Yeah. So definitely
Ooh,
she went in on
ooh.
that.
Sister was bringing the thunder right there. See,
Yeah.
when you have a sister coming like that, co-signing what I just said almost to the letter,
Hmm.
that's saying something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? This behavior with this anything goes bullshit, nah, bro, we can't have it.
Definitely.
If
Definitely.
I go to the restaurant, I'm ordering seconds, thirds, and eighths of that right there.
Right there, right there. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Tell
Shout
that
out to
chef
that
he ain't
sister.
leaving. Get comfortable. Go ahead, throw your Crocs back on. You're gonna be whipping it up for a long time. More of that, please,
Right.
with
Exactly.
extra sauce.
No doubt. No doubt.
So we're going to move into our next segment, which is the question of the day.
Yeah.
So the question of the day is, especially for the ladies, would your husband and your father are arguing? Your husband says, "Go get in the car." Your father says, "Sit down." What's your next move? So, I want to ask you fellas real quick because it's the ladies might be answering a little later. But
Mm.
for you fellas, if who do you think should be uh have the say so in this? Who you think she should listen to in this situation?
Yeah, it should absolutely be the husband. Period. Um, Now that is with the caveat, right?
Mm,
Because your husband is supposed to come before anybody else. That's really the point that I'm making. However,
mhm.
if you're able to make a judgment decision, you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And ladies, this is where you kind of have to think into things. If you're able to make a judgment decision and you can see that, you know, getting in the car is probably not the best option, maybe you guys can sit there and talk it out. Maybe you want to try to talk to your husband and convince him, for it to be okay for you to sit down. Um, I can tip my hat to that, but my knee jerk reaction and the simple response is you do what your husband says. That's the long and
Drake,
short of it, and I'll say that in front of anybody. You dig?
yeah.
That's what it is.
Drake, what you feel? I think you. Oh,
I just got one question.
uh,
yeah.
Who last name she got?
there it is. There it is.
I feel like I feel like Major reached in my bag and pulled out my type of answer, so I'm gonna repay the favor and dip in his bag.
You
Yeah.
dig?
I'm not about to belabor the point. I'm not gonna get into any kind of hypothetical Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
multiverse of madness nonsense where you got 19 different. No, I'm just gonna keep it straight, short, sweet to the point. Whose
Trillion.
last name you got?
Yeah.
Period.
That's all.
Period.
That's if and or buts. Now, is there a nuanced way of navigating that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, whose last name do you have? Because that's the person who's responsible for your covering.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, if you got your father's last name, well, that's the man who, ethically speaking, is the person that's on the hook for you.
Yeah.
Mm,
If some man has stepped to the altar, I'm assuming your father's in the picture, so your father also gave your hand to your husband to be the new covering for you.
mm.
That means that I'm the people's choice.
There it
Who last
is.
name you got?
That's
Period.
real.
Exactly.
And
Now,
that's the
if he's
thing.
wrong, yeah. Now, if he's wrong, or if there's something else, now that's something that y'all two will have to discuss later on. But
Right.
I'm of the firm opinion that when y'all the husband and wife, y'all the team. It's y'all against everybody, the
Period.
Mhm.
whole world. It's
That's
y'all
it.
two and God, and automatically y'all the majority. That's majority opinion. It don't matter
Yeah.
what the other 7 billion people on earth got to say. Y'all two plus God is the majority. That's it. End of
That's it.
discussion. When y'all go home, if he's out of pocket, y'all have a respectful conversation, babe. This wasn't in order, whatever, XYZ. And if
Mm,
apologies need to be made later on, if amends need to be made, go ahead and do that. But right then and there, we the unit.
Yeah.
We the
there
Miami
it
Heat.
is.
We the team. We the
There it
squad.
is.
We the franchise.
Right.
Period.
So, ladies, we would love to hear you. We'd love to hear your feedback, ladies. So go ahead and write it in the comments in the chat. What would you do? Give us a detailed description of why you chose your husband or your father, and we definitely would read them off. So, definitely going to our next segment, which is Dear Men. All right. So, for our Dear Men, this is our question. My wife passed away and left me with 2 children, but I just found through DNA that they are not my children. I am
Jesus,
36 years old. Please give me some advice.
bruh. Woo, man. I mean, there are so many levels to that, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? She passed away, so first of all, she's not even here to pick up on the other
Yeah.
end. Um, they still with him. How long? He's 36, but how long has he been raising these kids? I'm assuming their whole lives. How old are they? There's a lot that factors into that. I really don't know what to tell them. Oh my God. Phew, bruh.
I really hope they got this ain't a real situation, but given the way the world is, it probably is. And I know
I'm
this
just
probably.
saying. Phew. I mean, really and truly, man, once you're at that point and you're that deeply vested, I don't know you could just get up and walk out of the kids' lives. I really don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might just have to sit that one out, bro. You know, because presumably, if you had these 2 kids from your wife and you thought, you know, that they were your kids all this time, you have a bond with the children already. You understand what I'm saying? You have a bond with the children, a deep bond with the children. You know, if they've been with you for quite some time, I'm guessing that you know these are not newborns. They weren't born in the last 2 years, but they could be. It's really hard to say. I don't have enough information, I guess is the answer,
Mhm.
to really give a valid assessment on that. But I would say this: if you've been in the children's lives for years as their father, and the woman's not even there no more, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't see how you just disown these children
Mhm.
that you know and whose lives you've been involved with for all these years because you know of this situation. Now if the woman were still here, you could be like, okay, well, these your kids, you know what I'm saying? But the woman's not even here for you to do that with. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very, very difficult situation. My God, I don't think I've ever even heard of anything like that. But if you did decide to disown those kids, I can't say that you're wrong. They're not your
Yeah.
kids. You
So
know what I'm saying? But explaining that shit to them children is gonna be heavy.
yeah.
You just gotta be prepared for that. You know what I mean? Because these are kids, you know, as he
Yeah.
described them. So, you know, long term, short term, I would just say, you know, the longer that it is that you've been in these kids' lives, it's going to be more difficult to you to disown them and go about your business, and it's going to be much more of a toll on you morally. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
that's the case, if they're younger kids, maybe you can give them up for adoption, and you know you won't feel so bad about it because you really haven't been around them for that long.
So
But man,
here,
that's
yeah.
ooh, that's a rock and a hard place that situation, bro.
So,
Like my God.
so my
I don't
answer
wish
to
that on
that is
anybody.
would be they are not your children biologically, DNA wise. So if she passed away, that child now goes into the custody of her immediate family, which would be her grandmother or anybody else that's on there. Now, if you um, are on the certificate as being the father, then you have no other choice but to take care of that child, those children, unless you can go out there and do private investigation and find out the biological children. But if you're on record as the father, but you did the DNA and found out that you weren't the child's father, it's going to be very difficult for you to branch away from them in that aspect.
Mm,
So my best bet would be to take care of the children, continue taking care of the children. But if the family members now come in and say that they want to take care of the children and you feel like you want to distance yourself because those aren't your biological children, you have every right to do so.
Yeah.
But it's your discretion on how you want to do it. Because at the
Correct.
end of the day, these children have feelings and they don't know the dynamics of what's going on. They didn't know that their mother lied to you. They only knew that growing up that you gave them the love as if you were their biological father. And that's all they're going to remember. So
Mm.
if you back away from that, that's going to look like abandonment on their level. So, like I say, with you, you have the power to do what you feel like you need to do, but just have the discretion of it because there are other feelings that are involved and not yours. So, just like you weren't selfish enough and you took pride in raising them, I hope you won't be selfish enough to back out of them and away from them. And even if the family members want to take over those children, you can still provide a role with those children too. It doesn't have to be the immediate father role you did before, but it could be somebody that's in there as a guidance or I would say like a mentor to these children still until they get to the age where they realize, and then you can break down the real details of what's going on. But through that, the adolescence um, stages, then you could go ahead and just continue to do what you do on that level until you get to the next level of breaking it down deeply.
Well
So that
said.
would be my thing for that. So we definitely would hope that you guys that you would come back and give us some feedback on what that is and what that looks like.
Mm.
Drake, you
Um, man, that's heavy. Hearing that
Yeah,
is
it's one of
hard.
those.
I can imagine living with that is infinitely more so. First and foremost, I just want to state, and without any, I want to make it unequivocally clear that in this situation, um, brother, you are a victim.
mm,
Mm.
The children are a victim of their mother's treachery, but you're also a victim.
mm,
And that matters because too often, unfortunately, we live in a society where misandry is the norm and men are seen as the default punching bags. Anything and everything goes when it comes to us. There's no breaks, there's no kid gloves that we get treated with.
Mm.
Everything is rough and jagged with us. We're supposed to, we're told to just shut up and put up with any and everything because we're men, just deal with it. We're treated as if we are beasts of burden that do not have feelings, that don't have our own lives. Um, so I'm going to say that whatever it is you choose to do, I don't fault you for it. I can't fault
Correct.
you for it because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell a person who has been wronged and who is not at fault on how to feel and how to deal.
mm,
Um, Even whatever advice I could give, whether I should say do this or don't do this, that'd be hard for me to say because in a situation as severe as that, um, I don't know how I feel about that, especially with and the interesting aspect because women lie every single day. There's a whole bunch of fathers, unfortunately, walking around who are raising children that aren't theirs, and the woman's fully aware of that. But this is a unique situation in that she's not here, and this has been found out. So you don't even have the proper ability to vent or be frustrated. The object of your anger, your disappointment, your the betrayal you're feeling, that person's not even here anymore for you to even get that sort of closure, or whatever.
Right.
So what the hell do you really do with that? That's a big ball of WTF that's sitting in your chest, and I think that's probably more hurtful than the betrayal because how do you get this out?
mm,
Um, the only thing I can definitively say that you need to do that is not optional, it's not up for debate.
mm.
You need to go to therapy
That's what I
immediately.
was going to say next. Yes.
Don't just go ahead, and I would say, especially for something as serious as that, and in general, it's a good rule of thumb, anyways. But don't just go flip open the phone book we don't use those damn things anymore, the Google ads pages or whatever, and go to the first therapist. But I actually do a little shopping around, have a couple light sessions with a few different therapists until you find someone that you feel comfortable with, that you believe that you can have a good rapport with. Find that person, and um, both of you all roll up your sleeves and go to war with this shit,
Mm.
because that's heavy. There's no way on earth you're going to be able to deal with that by yourself. It's not possible. You don't have the tools for that. You don't have the scope. It's too raw. It's too real. You're right in the eye of that storm. You need somebody from the outside looking in who has the training and who has the experience that can steer you in the direction that you need to go in, that can give you the tools you need to make sense of all that and figure out how to feel, how to get to a place of healing, and then most importantly, what to do next.
Mm.
And I would also say that I would recommend that you do that as well before you make any decision with the children, because especially dealing with men, I don't advocate for us to deal with things emotionally. I always advocate for using logic and using reason.
Mm.
You need to make sure that whatever decision you make with those boys, whether it's with those children, is whether you keep them with you, whether you give them for adoption, turn them over to their mother's family, or something else, whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that you're making the decision from a logical standpoint. If it's a logical decision, you'll be able to digest it much better.
Mm.
The problem with emotions is that they're fleeting. So you might feel one way today, even tomorrow, the next week, next month, next year, next decade. But if you make a decision and whenever down the line you realize, you know what, I made this choice when I was feeling such and such a way. I wish I did something. I wish I did a different thing. That's what's going to tear you up.
Mm.
You're almost always going to have those kinds of results when you make decisions in emotion.
Mm.
Because that's why you need to make sure that your head is clear. You're able to get some sort of level homeostasis going where you're able to make a proper decision in your right state of mind. And then you can move forward with that. So that's the advice I have to give. And again, whatever the choice you come to, I don't fault you either way. I just hope that you're able to heal and bounce back from this. I hope that the children are able to heal and bounce back from this. Um, and hopefully, what was a tragedy can be mended or at least made um, somewhat close to whole. Because that when that paper's balled up, you can't ever get it exactly the way it is. But hopefully, you can at least get enough of the creases and wrinkles ironed out somewhere where you can move forward in either direction. God bless you, man.
Definitely, definitely. And
Yes, sir.
let us know your update and what you're going through, and let us know the decision that you made.
Yes,
We would
please,
love to
please.
we would love to know the update on that.
Mm.
So
We
with
pray
that
for
being
you, bro.
said, we're definitely heading on to our next segment, which is hell no, hell yeah. And I know last week everybody loved this segment, so we've
Mm.
definitely got some great things for you this week on this subject and this segment. So hell nah and hell yeah. All right, so y'all ready?
Go on with it.
All right,
Let's
so
get into
Adidas, hell yeah, hell no.
Hell yeah. My Adidas.
it.
Nah, hell
I'm
no for
still
me.
I'm still on hell nah because of the whole way they handled
Kanye,
Kanye and everything, where they
yeah,
did
You
that.
know what?
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
significant. That's
before
significant.
that
I
before that
forgot about
happened,
that.
man. Before that
Shout
happened,
out
I
to
would have been hell yeah, because I was always Adidas over Nike
yeah,
anyway. So
Yeah.
I
but
took what he did personally, but um,
shout out to my dude Sai, who has his shoes, who took over with Kyrie, black owned shoe owner,
Okay.
making dope ass shoes. I'm gonna reach out to him and see if he would join us one night. But that dude is super dope. So Sai got his own kicks out there. Y'all can follow him. Super dope shoes, black
Fly.
owned dude, and his sneakers is dope. His sneakers is real dope. So I
Okay.
moved
yeah,
on from
that,
Adidas to Sai. Um, X Clan. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
My guys.
And they highlighted that in the new Tupac
The
documentary.
Tupac document. Did you see that? I did not know this dude was going to schools teaching with X Clan.
Yeah.
What?
That was awesome. I gotta watch that, man.
That was insane.
Yeah.
They never talk about that side of Tupac.
Joe Biden. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell no. With a capital hell.
Nah, hell no. Steph
That's what
Curry.
you go to hell. It's a big nah.
Steph Curry shoes.
Hell yeah.
I fuck with Steph Curry shoes.
I rock
Definitely.
with them chefs for sure.
You said yes or no, Ant?
I said yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. RZA Islam. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Ultra thorough.
Big ups to the brother. Love what he's doing out here. Solid dude.
Loving hip hop. Hell yeah, hell no. Hell no.
Hell no.
Love for hip hop.
Hell to the no.
No love for loving hip hop. Hell no. Get that bird garbage out of here.
Bird TV.
Dion Cole. Hell yeah, hell no. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dion Cole is hilarious.
Yeah,
Big ups
I
to
like
Dion doing this thing. Big ups to him.
Snowfall. Hell yeah, hell no. Hell yeah.
Hell no.
Hell yeah. Shout out to
Hell no.
No.
Shout out to John Singleton.
When did it? Let me ask you this question. When does it get good? I watch to like episode 8. I fall asleep on every episode, bro. When does it? People tell me it gets good. Just tell me when.
Oh, it got good when it ended. It ended. It's season finale.
I'm saying, but around season 2, season 3, when does it get good?
I think season 3 like really highlights a lot of it. Yeah. I think season 1 and season 2 is building. But season
Jesus,
3
are they building?
Yeah.
Man, that shit is slow as hell.
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't know. Hope I don't have that experience, but
I loved it. I loved how they gave what's his name? Who's the one that produced it? John Singleton. I love how they gave a shout out to John Singleton in the ending credits.
Okay.
I usually like his work and stuff.
Yeah.
With most shows, I give you 3 of the first 3 episodes. Some cases, maybe the first 5 if I see signs of life. But if it's whack, I'm not gonna make it past 5 episodes. It's not gonna happen.
Remember, he was alive for the first 3 seasons, and then so the Oscars. Hell yeah, hell no, hell no.
Hell no.
What the fuck's with the Oscars?
They can shove that.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Tyler Perry.
Hey, Chris Rock.
Tyler Perry. Hell yeah, hell no.
I gotta put it out there, man. Hell no.
Nah. I don't
Hell no. I want to like Tyler Perry so much.
Tyler gave me one good movie, and that was The Family That Prays. I think that was the most powerful movie he did.
Yeah.
For starters, I will never forgive him. I can never forgive him for completely botching and ruining Detective Alex Cross. I can never forgive him.
Shit was a disaster.
Never. I see that nigga in real life, I'm throwing a drink in his face. Out of any movie, out of any book, out of any role he could have taken, he took that and personally made his mission to send that film to hell and to completely disrespect my brother Alex Cross. I will never forgive him. His children got to carry that debt for him.
Oh my God.
On site. You hear me, Corey? On site.
Reality TV. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Corey Holcomb. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, that's our brother.
Man, Corey Holcomb is that dude. And
That's
let
a
me just
real
plug
one
my
right
brother
there,
right
bro.
quick. And let me plug my brother right quick. If you have seen him on 5150, if you've seen video of his stand up,
The
you got to
the
see that brother
brother,
live. And
he's
that
a
man,
monster, dog.
that man,
Top 5
the
comedian.
creativity, the comedy, the crowd interactions. I saw him when he came down here to Dania. Man, I'm telling you, from the time he came out there to the time the show ended, I couldn't stop crying. I must have been dehydrated.
Yeah,
I had tears running down my face. That man was stupid funny.
Corey
yeah,
Holcomb is a
Stupid
fool.
funny.
Shout out
yeah.
to that brother right there. And he
Definitely
real.
He
He
shout
did
out
don't
to
that.
Corey.
he don't kiss no ass.
Yeah,
None.
very unapologetic.
Mm.
Love and hip hop. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Nah.
Hell no.
Nah.
All
Nah.
right, goat meat. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell
Goat meat.
yeah. Hell
What's
yeah.
that?
That's curry goat.
What's
No,
that
man.
again?
Just goat meat
Goat,
generally. They
goat,
always gotta
goat,
be curry. I love some
goat.
damn goat. Because
Goat meat.
Kenyans don't make
Me,
goat
I only eat curry
curry.
goat. So yeah, I would go with. I love it.
Yo,
I had
when
some the
we
other day.
yeah, when we come down again, when the Kenyans come down again, we gonna barbecue. All goat.
Uh, definitely. The
Yeah.
Walking
Say
Dead.
less.
Hell yeah, hell no.
What it
I like
was?
the Walking. I like the Walking Dead when it started off, and then when they got the Negan, it like fell off after that.
I love The Walking Dead.
I
I
heard that
say
guy
hell
has
yeah.
that's
I
another show
say
I
hell.
haven't watched, but I'll say hell yeah out of respect to what it's done for the whole zombie genre and everything, the
Yeah,
respect it's gotten.
I think
And
it's the
even though I
best
haven't
show to
seen
ever
it,
come on TV.
yeah,
That shit
wow,
lit.
that's
Sick.
yeah.
okay.
It's sick.
Okay.
Walking Dead was pretty
I
good.
will say Negan was just based off what I've seen, Negan was a dope villain.
Shh.
Dude's
Shh.
asshole noodles through the roof. I love him for that purpose alone.
Shh.
I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna see.
Check that
But
shit out.
but I'm gonna give it
You
a hell yeah just out of respect.
give them a pass on season 8 and 9, but the
Yeah.
other 8 seasons are amazing.
All right. So
Well,
Lotto. Hell yeah, hell no.
Hell
Hell
no.
no. No.
Hell
so
no.
I don't like
oh you mean
anybody that's fake rapping what they. I watched her on the.
oh you mean
I
artist?
watched her on
Oh
the JD thing when she was a
Uh,
little child on the JD thing, and what she was rapping on there was nothing what she's rapping now. She was a
it
biracial
isn't.
child that was very sheltered, and now she had like this black hood rap and exploiting black women and black
Mm-hmm.
women accepting that shit. I'm
She's a
not hell
total
no.
fraud, dude.
I'm good off of that. Good
And
off a Lotto.
yeah, and
yeah.
one thing in particular, I remember she was in an interview, and this girl must have been 6 or 7 years old, asked her, "How do you describe yourself and your style?" And she goes and I describe myself as a sexually liberated woman. Bitch, this is a child. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. Just oh
Excuse
Yeah,
god, this shit just makes me
wait,
just
hold
want to
on.
just spit nails.
yeah.
What
It's
who we talking about?
Lotto,
Lotto. Lotto.
The chick that got
bum
song on
ass
the radio?
Lotto, the rapper.
Mulatto, but she calls herself Lotto now. Mulatto from JD joint.
How I'm leaving it alone because there's questions that I didn't answer and
Yeah, she went and
I'm
got a
afraid of
she got a BBL and all that. So she
Yeah, she
yeah,
just
so,
and she can spit too. I was rooting for her. I really wanted
yeah.
her to do well, and then she came out here and just did what all these other chicken heads do. I was so disappointed, bro.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, people got to sell
That's
their
how it is
soul.
the industry now.
All
If
right.
you want to
mm,
get
So
in, that's the lane.
hot Cheetos. Hell yeah, hell no. Oh
hell
nah.
no,
Nah.
hell no,
Not in the hot Cheetos.
hell no. Who eats that shit? Oh God.
About Drake.
That's no hell no. I enjoy not being married to the toilet bowl.
I put that
I
shit right up
enjoy
there
that.
with chitlins and
No, hot
hog
Cheetos.
maw.
Abbott Elementary. From what I saw, it was pretty dope. I saw it was
Hell yeah, it's funny as hell, dude.
I gotta watch more of it.
Hell
I got
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
I've heard good things about it, positive things about it actually.
Yeah,
So that's another one of those
definitely.
ones I got in the I got on
it's
bacon
real
lovely.
funny.
All right, so that's for this week's Hell Yeah, Hell Nah. And join us again next week for the next Hell Nah, Hell Yeah session.
Yay.
And that concludes tonight's show and leads us to our last segment, which is the crown check.
You know why I'm
And
here.
this one is not a surprise to anybody, based on what we're talking about tonight. And if you saw the flyer, you know exactly who it is. And that goes to Tabitha Brown. Tabitha Brown is an American actress and social media personnel. She created she creates online video content incorporating veganism, humor, and motivational speaking. Tabitha Brown has over 5 million followers in TikTok and over 4.2 million followers on Instagram. As of March
Whoa.
2023, she has been described as HuffPost as American's mom, and her content has been characterized by critics as being comforting and calming. And she's done super dope stuff. Born in North Carolina, Brown studied fashion briefly before dropping out and pursuing acting after developing chronic pain and fatigue. Brown switched to a vegan diet to help her relief. She created her TikTok account in 2020 and began amassing followers shortly thereafter. Brown has appeared in television shows such as The Shy, which is super dope. I loved her on that episode too. And
Mm.
Good Morning America. In 2021, Brown was awarded the Outstanding Social Media Personality title at the NAACP Awards, Image Awards. And her first book, Feeding the Soul, Because It's My Business, Finding Our Way to Joy, Love, and Freedom, was published the same year. And she published her first cookbook, Cooking from the Spirit, Easy, Delicious, and Joyful Plant-Based Inspirations, The Next. She also, in 2017, Brown was, oh, you know what? That is so small. I cannot even read that real quick. But let me see if I can. I didn't know it was going to come out that small on the screen, but I have it right here. So in 2017, Brown was running out of disability insurance funds, which led to her becoming an Uber driver in October 2017. In
Mm.
order to make ends meet as a struggling part-time actress, her video review from December 2017 of Whole Food Market vegan BLT sandwich went viral, after which the company hired her as a brand ambassador to travel the country. In March 2020, she created a TikTok account which she began sharing vegan recipes, cooking tips, family moments, and encouraging advice, amassing 2 million followers in the space of 5 weeks. Brown has
Wow.
also been broadcasting live cooking shows and product reviews of Facebook Live since early 2018. In late April 2020, Brown was signed to Creative Artists Agency. In late June 2020, she began hosting All Love on Ellen Digital Network. In 2021, Brown hosted the YouTube original children's show Tab Time. The same year, she launched her hair care line named Donna's Recipe after her name for her afro. She published her first book, Feeding the Soul, Because It's My Business, Finding Our Way to Joy, Love, and Freedom, which became the #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. In 2022, she's published her debut cooking book, Cooking from the Spirit, Easy, Delicious, Joyful, Plant-Based Inspiration, launched a clothing collection with Target Corporation, and appeared in Good Morning America. Brown's YouTube show Tab Time was nominated for 2 categories: inaugural Children's and Family Emmy Awards, Outstanding Preschool Series, and Outstanding Host. And Brown is married to Chase Brown, a retired LA officer who she co-hosts Fridays with Tab and Chance on IGTV. Together, they have 2 children, Choice and Question. They reside in Los Angeles, California. And the reason why they were selected, Tabitha and Chance was selected as the crown check was selected with Tabitha is because we talked about submission and compromise, and they exude everything that you talked about in a relationship, in a marriage, when it comes to submission and compromise. He was a LAPD officer, and he was funding her. He was taking care of her while she was going through her struggle moments. She ended up hitting it big, and she got her hairline, she had her books. But when she got that contract with the Target and got her clothing stores throughout all the Target, and has her own little section in Target, she turned to her husband and she told him, "I'm retiring you. You are no longer gonna work anymore." And that's dope because you know men on the average don't have an opportunity like that. It's very seldom you hear a man who has put his wife on his back because he's a chosen leader. He's a chosen person, the foundation of the family. He's the one that everybody looks to for the lead of being successful in this world. He is the operator. He's the machine that makes everything run. And a lot of times a lot of men die being the machine, and here it is you have where he's in a position where he's employed, and then he's working in a police department, and also the mental stress that comes from the police department because now you're seeing all the killings that's coming from these racial officers, and now you as a black man is inside the LAPD department, which we know has a racial history, and also could go back to Chris Dorner and why he went and started executing LA police officers as well, because he felt like there was a lot of corruption going on, a lot of crooked cops, and his way of trying to get justice was taking out a lot of the crooked cops that were out here roaming the streets doing very negative and bad things. So the deep-rooted history of an LA police officer, um, the mentally that plays a part in a black officer, especially if you're out here doing good. And if he's aligned up with Tabitha, then more than likely his heart is in a good place. And that mental depression, it plays a big part. So I know he must have came home to his wife multiple times, very depressed about the environment, the situation, and having his hands tied as an officer, knowing that there was a bigger, deep-rooted systemic problem within his division and in his department. And she was just like, you know what? I make enough money. Let me take you out of there and let me retire you and let's live this other life of journey that is more prosperous for not only you and me, but also for our children. And I thought that was super dope. And it exudes everything from a man providing the leadership and having a woman being submissive enough to him understanding that his manhood was not in jeopardy for him to take a seat back and let his woman now go ahead and, like I say, the whole co-pilot. Now she has taken the pilot seat and has pretty much going to drive the rest of the way because for all those years they've been together, he was taking the driver's seat, and now he gets a chance to rest in the passenger seat, which is super dope. It is a partnership. It is a life journey. You never know how it's going to switch up. And sometimes you have a dominant partner that is very spectacular and very phenomenal, like Tabitha Brown, now gives you enough space to enjoy life and the luxury as together as one. And I thought that was super dope and one of the reasons why she definitely made Crown Check for tonight. So shout out to Tabitha Brown and what she has done for herself, her family, and especially her husband. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. Hope you guys love it. You guys want to say your piece before we exit out?
Yeah,
And
let me
definitely,
just chime in real quick. Shout out to that sister. I'd never heard of her before, had any idea what her story was or any of that, but all that was hella dope. And I salute that sister for moving in that way. And the brother that she's with sounds like they have a very beautiful involvement and they really understand uh, the idea of submission and compromise and so forth. And I just want to double down on a point that I made earlier, man. Really, at the end of the day, firstly, let me just say submission and compromise, neither of them are dirty words. These are things that we should be doing as a people. You understand what I'm saying? We
Mhm.
should come to each other, like I said earlier, in the spirit of cooperation. You understand? That's how we should approach relationships. We should not approach relationships with you know, it, with these bad faith arguments and bad faith techniques that really have failed us in the past and will continue to fail us. It's time to try something new. It's time to try something different. Think outside of the box that is today's thinking. It's clearly not working. We need to find common ground and find ways to win. That's what it's about at the end of the day. Anytime you have people coming to you and they're talking to you in this defeatist manner about dating and relationships, whereas, oh, it don't matter what you do, they gonna cheat anyway.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? That type of bullshit. It don't matter how you know, it's it's going to end up in a bad place, no
Yeah.
matter what you do. Get away from people like that. Get them out of your space. They mean well. They don't really have anything constructive to contribute to the dating and relationship dialogue.
Mhm.
And it's important to weed people out like that. I've had to block people, remove people from my threads on my social media, whatever the case may be, because I found out after some time that this person is more harm than good.
Mhm.
And it's good to be able to identify those people and weed them out early, because they will contaminate the dating and relationship conversation. you know you'll be making progress with some other people. You will have shown other people some things that can help them and given them some tools that can help them, and they're actively moving and pushing to a better place and becoming better people in their relationship environments. And then this bum comes along, just kind of, bombing your comments area with all this negativity. In real life, you got to get friends like that away from you. And on social media, you got to get trolls like that up out the paint, because a
Mhm.
lot of people out here are just miserable and they don't want to see you succeed. And when they start to see you succeed, you know, whether they know it or not, I feel like with a lot of them, it's not even a conscious thing. They just start to firebomb your whole shit. They
Mhm.
really, really start to kind of sabotage what it is that you're trying to do. And you must become the chess master that does not allow this person's moves to impede your progress. So make sure, that you're okay with the words compromise, you're okay with the word submission, and you're in full support of the word cooperation and the concept of cooperation, because that is how we get to the next level as a people. We need to cooperate. People like to throw this catchphrase around, come together, come together. It's useful when it's not just used as a dumb catchphrase.
Mhm.
If you're really talking about brothers and sisters coming together and building something and moving forward and being better with each other overall and repairing what's broken between us, then coming together is a beautiful thing. I think
Mhm.
we need to focus on that. My two
Definitely.
cents.
Well said. Well said. Drake.
Kudos, kudos. Big shout out to Sister Tabitha. I was familiar with her. I don't so much know her from TikTok. I don't really do the whole TikTok thing, but I know her from a couple of her YouTube videos and her Facebook videos. And I'd never necessarily was a follow of hers, but I remember whenever her videos would pop up in my travels or what have you, um, that sister would be throwing down in that kitchen. She'd be whipping some stuff up, and even though it's vegan, the stuff was looking so good I couldn't even make my usual vegan jokes pertaining to her chef. I'm like, you know what? I ain't vegan, but I could probably tear that up right now. And a lot like what the critics have said, I was definitely a big fan of her demeanor because very soft spoken, very lovely, calm, comforting voice, very soothing. Definitely sounds like your positively stereotypical auntie or big mama or whatever, where she's just whipping like, baby, come pass me that over there, whatever. But you making little jokes, and she's just very pleasant, very calming. You could probably watch her videos to help you get to sleep. They'll just put you right out like that. Definitely has the whole ASMR vibe going on. But even though I knew she was doing big things, I knew she was very popular as a content creator. I did not know that light skinned Kelly was rolling like that. God dang, she got clothes out. She's got all those followers all over the place. She has all the different deals. She got books out and everything. I'm tremendously happy for her success, and just based off of everything that I've seen consistently from her, what I've heard other people saying, and even other reviews, she definitely sounds like a truly wonderful sister, a great person. Um, I love to see solid people winning. It really does my heart a tremendous amount of good. Definitely motivates me. And it definitely proves the point that you can be a decent, thorough person and still win. You don't got to sell your soul aside or whatever. You don't have to go ahead and debase yourself. And that's another thing. She's a content creator. And
Mm.
unfortunately, content creation these days has become truly a very dirty thing. It's become a very explicit thing. It's unfortunately become associated with people out here selling sex, selling the idea of sex, revealing themselves, just
Mm.
being, going way beyond the borders of TMI land and just putting it every all out there. But here we go. This is just showing that you don't have to do that to win. It's not
That's big.
necessary. You
That's
can be
huge.
wholesome. You can be solid. You can display morals and values. You don't have to be over the top. You don't have to be ratchet. You don't have to be vulgar or nasty or just loose, whatever. You can still be principled. And there's a market for you. There is a lane for you. It's not
Yes.
oversaturated. If anything, the opposite. We don't have nearly enough. We need more. Please look
Mm.
out for backup. And her success has been so thorough that it's not just limited to the world of media content creation. She's getting acting gigs. Um, she's able to go ahead and get clothing lines. She's able to sell books. She's being able to establish herself outside of this one domain, and again, doing it the right way, doing it a positive way, doing it a way that you can be proud of. She's doing things that her husband can be proud of, that her children can be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are successful right now for the moment, and unfortunately, based on how they're getting it, their children got to take L's and stuff in school. They got to be ashamed. They got to hide their face. They got to disassociate themselves with it.
It's sad.
She's getting it in a way where you can be proud of her and happy for it. Ain't nothing that you got to hide in the dark or whatever. We need more stories like that because they're out there. Unfortunately, too often that doesn't get the front headlines because it's not, sexy, it's not trendy, it's not controversial. But we need more of this,
Yes.
way more.
Yes.
So big ups to her. Hopefully, she inspires more sisters to go that path. Big ups to her family for supporting her and definitely being a I don't want to say a catch-all, but being an environment that is fueling her and feeding her and enabling her to do what she's doing as well too. But yeah, in closing, submission, compromise, not dirty words. These are, if anything, adult words. If we're going to be adults and call ourselves adults, we got to move as adults. We have to adopt adult language, adult thinking. We need to move in that direction. These are concepts that are for adulthood. And again, even if you don't necessarily subscribe to these things, why would you not want to be with people who compel these sorts of things? Maybe we talk about how environments shape you. Maybe the reason why you have no desire to submit, the reason you have no desire to compromise, is because you have never been with a person who has been worthy of that and compelled that from you. Maybe if you had a person who showed you day in and day out that, this is the level that things should be at, it would inspire you to go that direction. Change what you look for, change what you accept, change yourself so that you're deserving of these things. I'm never going to get off that gas pedal. My foot is glued to it.
Mm.
But do those things, and you might be surprised. Not only will you get different results, I'm positive that you'll get the result that you didn't necessarily think was possible. You're able to find it. The things that we want in life tend to be right within our reach, but they're usually outside of our comfort zone. When you can break free from where you currently are and realize that it's bigger than just a little box you're sitting in, you'll be amazed at what's out there. But if you're going to do what you have always done, then you need to expect what you have always received. That's fair. That's natural. That's it for this week. Can't wait to kick with you all again next week, bringing you more hot fire, bringing you that game, bringing you that information, bringing you that quality content.
Yay.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. We have definitely gave people way more than they expected. I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't expect this much game for 3 hours of submission and compromise, but it's definitely a very important subject and topic. And I appreciate you, gentlemen, for giving us so much information and so much gems for the people that's watching out there. And hopefully that'll help them processing forward to their journey of officially being married or getting on the next level. So thank you for that. And we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, we're going to have some every week is always a dope topic. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and think that we're giving you slum topics every week. We're giving you high quality topics and gems day in, day out, week in, week out, I should say. And so definitely look forward to next week. And we'll see y'all. All right. Peace out. Peace.
All right.
On the album, we do things like songs that are a little, what we call sexy. You can see from the title, it's more of a love album.